Against the glittering night skyline, the accusation lands like a hammer: treason. What you did was treason. The woman stares ahead in disbelief, lips trembling as she repeats it under her breath, before forcing the words out, "It's not what you think." He immediately fires back, refusing to yield an inch. "No, it undeniably was treason. Because you fed me lies." Furious, she shoves both hands against his chest, the impact punctuated with a sharp slam. She yells, "Surely, you aren't threatening me, are you?" He doesn't even flinch, only scoffs and murmurs with icy calm, a faint, dangerous smile forming. "Threatening you?" he repeats, amused. Looking down at her with smug superiority, he adds, "That's a bit rich coming from you, my little scammer." She freezes under the insult as he steps closer, lifting her chin. His voice turns probing, almost curious. "Yuyun, could it be that even your name is fake too?" She insists softly, "I have never lied to you." He sighs as if tired of hearing it. "You keep saying that same thing over and over." He studies her flushed face and suddenly asks bluntly, "Are you drunk?" She protests immediately, "No, I'm not drunk, not one bit," but he cuts her off with quiet certainty, "You're drunk." Before she can argue further, he pulls her firmly against him, one arm around her waist, and kisses her. The sudden intimacy hits like a lightning strike, her eyes fly wide as he presses closer, claiming the moment without hesitation. Their kiss deepens under the city lights, then suddenly bang. Something crashes nearby. A startled scream rings out, "Kaya!" She clings to him, trembling. Trying to brush it off, he mutters casually, "Sounds like a dope KB," then he glances down at her and smirks. "You've got a knack for lying, you've got me curious now. How many of them were lies? What have you seen, heard, and hidden up until now? I never thought you'd commit something like this." This is the first time this has happened in imperial family history. He leans closer, almost pleased by the tension, and drops the bombshell, "Marriage fraud, huh?" As if the revelation is merely an inconvenience, he kisses her forehead lightly and says, "I have to go deal with that guy. So let's talk again later, shall we?" Then he walks away without another glance. Left alone, she slowly collapses to the floor, clutching herself as her thoughts echo bitterly, "Don't be afraid. If you cover up your ears and shut your eyes, it will all come to pass, because it always has." Curled on the balcony floor, she hugs her knees and forces a bitter laugh through tears. But more importantly, she thinks, staring at the glittering city below. Got caught, didn't I? The realization lands harder than any accusation. A regal figure in red, the crown prince, the man who will become the 31st king of the Republic of Korea. The crown prince walks casually along the corridor, city lights glowing behind him, hands in his pockets like this is just another Tuesday. Calmly, almost smugly. The woman recalls, 6 months ago, I committed marriage fraud against him. Flashback, 7 months ago. Someone reports stiffly, I'm in the concierge room of the Imperial Palace. When is His Highness, the Crown Prince, set to arrive? A bespectacled aide speaks urgently into his earpiece, please proceed with the banquet. His Highness is unable to attend right now. Static crackles. The person on the line replies, Chief Lee, everyone from the President to the Secretary of State to members of the National Assembly are gathered here. This is a congregation that happens once every 5 years. If he's late today, the bespectacled aide, Chief Lee snaps, look, Chief Kim. Right now, His Highness is resolving something that the citizens of the Republic of Korea's good night's sleep depend on. I'm currently at the Paju Seowa Medicine Research Institute. It will take another hour or so please don't wait for him. The helicopter got here, so I'm hanging up. Outside, blades thunder. The helicopter has landed on the rooftop. His Highness has come. The air tightens like a bowstring. Roger that. We have to make an entry into the premises. Orders explode through the corridor. Men in suits bolt forward, shoes pounding as the sound effect screams rush. Through his earpiece, an update comes, I am heading down the floors now. How is the dope KB? It is still 3 levels below us. 2 vehicles have already been smashed on the 4th floor of the basement, and 2 RSA team leaders are on standby. The elevator display dings ominously, B3. A curt command follows, you go down too. The aide jolts. Huh? His Highness was the first to get there. He pushes his glasses up and shouts, take the stairs. They run downward, 1F, B3F, as footsteps thunder like a drumroll of doom. He flinches at the stairwell landing. A door creaks open into a smoke-filled parking garage. Fog coils around parked cars like something out of a horror film. Through the haze, a tall figure stands atop a car roof, back straight. They gasp, His Highness. The Crown Prince exhales softly, eyes sharpening with a quiet flash of something inhuman. The aide swallows. I can't see what is over there. The smoke hides everything. But His Highness will be able to see it as clear as day. Looming over the prince, something mythic, an enormous, horned beast looms in swirling darkness. Because the imperial family has possessed the innate demon-killing power to annihilate the dope KB for thousands of years. The Crown Prince lifts his hand calmly, and glowing red energy erupts from his palm. Thick, rope-like tendrils whip through the air with a violent whoosh, spiraling outward like living chains as he reaches forward, eyes sharp and focused. The crimson coils lash out across the smoky garage, swoosh, whirl, grab, snaring the massive horned demon mid-lunge. Suspended and pinned by the writhing restraints, the monster thrashes furiously while the prince stands grounded and completely unfazed. Staring up at the restrained creature, he remarks coolly, you look to be a dochiol. The demon's enormous face pushes through the smoke, growling, that power's of yours, enticing and frightening. The monstrous head looms closer, jaws splitting wide as the creature roars. The prince doesn't even step back. Instead he muses dryly, you, a lowly monster, are trying to strike up a conversation? The beast's fury echoes through the darkness, the power to annihilate me, if so, turn me to dust, until its final threat explodes, I will devour you. The demon lunges with a deafening crack, its fanged maw crashing toward him. But the prince tilts his head slightly, almost bored, golden eyes glinting as the air begins to whirl around his raised hand. In one brutal motion, he thrusts his glowing palm forward, crack, and a surge of red energy detonates straight into the demon's mouth. The creature's head erupts with blinding force, its massive body splitting apart under the attack. The aftermath rains down like glittering ash. Demon fragments dissolve into sparkling dust drifting through the garage air. The aide and guards look up calmly wondering, has everything been resolved? The prince calls out, Li Wu-hyuk, come over here. Wu-hyuk hurries forward nervously, nearly tripping as he blurts, yes? The prince suddenly pauses, eyes narrowing slightly. Behind him, Wu-hyuk stiffens in confusion as the prince's attention shifts towards something unexpected. In the smoky parking lot, a woman lies unconscious, clutching a painting. Chief Li blurts in disbelief, a person. The Crown Prince studies the unconscious woman with a quiet frown. His gaze shifts to the frame clutched against her chest. She's holding a painting. A closer look reveals the cracked artwork, and the conclusion follows instantly, I guess that's where the dope KB came from. Then, glancing toward his aide, he asks calmly, is this person someone from the research institute? Wu-hyuk reports. Most of the staff have clocked out. The ones that stayed were the staff on night shift, and the security guards, so it's hard to say. The prince studies, she's breathing, just barely. His eyes drop to her wrist and watch. She looks to be well dressed, and the watch she's wearing is a company gift, so. The crown prince decides without hesitation. Since she's the owner of the painting, follow the right acquisition protocols, and take her to the hospital. Woo Hyuk nods immediately. Understood. The prince turns and walks away, polished shoes echoing across the concrete floor. Outside, city lights shimmer as the crown prince strides forward with his usual composed elegance, hands in his pockets. The gathered personnel straighten instantly at the sight of him. One by one, the officials bow deeply. We greet His Highness the Crown Prince. He acknowledges them with a quiet, unreadable expression. Later, the woman lies peacefully in a hospital bed while someone reports she appears to be burnt out. The crown prince repeats thoughtfully, "Burnt out, you say?" Sitting beside the bed, chin resting against his hand, he murmurs to himself, "But this woman, where have I?" Woo Hyuk gently interrupts. "Your Highness, you need to return to the palace now." Without looking away from the bed, the prince replies calmly, "I still have work to do. Don't make me an irresponsible crown prince." Suddenly the woman's eyelid twitches. "Your Highness," her eyes slowly open. Woo Hyuk asks evenly, "She's awake. What is your name? How do you feel?" The woman pushes herself up slightly and answers weakly, "My name is Jo Yu-yun." Woo Hyuk continues the checkup. "Where does it hurt?" She winces faintly. "My legs, they hurt a little." "Are we at a hospital?" Woo Hyuk explains quickly, "We're at Paju Jungwon, one of the imperial family's joint hospitals." She blinks in confusion. "Jungwon? What am I doing here?" Her gaze drifts past him and suddenly lands on the man standing nearby. Her thoughts freeze. Is that the crown prince? She stares, stunned. Huh? A strange tension prickles through her chest. This feeling, she thinks, struggling to process everything. Before she can say anything, he blurts out, "Thanks for saving me," or, "You're saying something along those lines, right?" "I think you should be saying that to me." She straightens a little and blurts nervously, "You saved me, thank you. But, did there happen to not be a painting, by any chance?" "I was definitely in the middle of transferring one." She glances around the hospital room uneasily. That. An explosion went off on the 4th floor of Manwha Medicine Research Institute's basement. He rests his chin on his hand like he's discussing the weather and adds smoothly, "The painting sustained an awful lot of damage during the process, so it's being held in my subordinate's custody." Yu-yun jolts upright in horror. "Custody? Why is it in custody?" Woo Hyuk yells dramatically. "Look here, Miss Yu-yun. What gives you the right to yell like that?" Yu-yun blinks, caught between gratitude and indignation. "I really am grateful for your help, but there's something I have to do after right now." "And you there, who are you?" Woo Hyuk straightens his tie with professional pride. "I'm Chief Lee Woo Hyuk from the Imperial Family Security Team. For now, you're going to have to answer a simple question. What were you doing on the 4th floor of the basement? You were the only person on it before the explosion. That's why I'm asking." Yu-yun hesitates, nervous but honest. "I'm the manager of Manwha Medicine's secretary department. I had gone to the 4th floor of the basement in order to use the incinerator." The prince's gaze sharpens. "What was the painting that you were holding?" She answers simply, "A present from the director of a Chinese biotech company." The crown prince leans in suddenly, invading her personal space with dangerous calm. "Since it was a counterfeit and didn't seem to have any value, I was going to take care of it discreetly." His eyes narrow. "And how did you know it was a counterfeit?" Yu-yun lifts her chin slightly despite the pressure. "I have qualifications." Their faces hover inches apart as the prince murmurs softly, "You said you were Miss Jo Yu-yun." His gaze drifts to her golden eyes. Those eyes, they look familiar. The thought lingers in the air, heavy and suspicious. She turns her head away. After a quiet beat, he exhales a small ha, and straightens. Miss Jo Yuyun. Turning toward the door, he adds casually over his shoulder, if you want that painting back, come find me. When that time comes, I'll know why you look familiar. Yuyun recounts what happened next. I was going to burn the painting. In her memory, the monstrous dope KB bursts from the artwork with a terrifying roar. Boom! The scene dissolves into chaos. She finishes shakily, I have no memory of what happened after that. Later, fully dressed again, Yuyun walks through the hospital hallway clutching a folder, still trying to process everything. She runs into a tall man speaking with a nurse. Executive Director, the nurse greets him. He turns toward Yuyun. How are you? The nameplate identifies him, Choi Junol, successor to Seowa Medicine. Yuyun assures him quickly, I don't have any injuries. He sighs, rubbing his temple. She asks, I was going to send you a text. How's the situation at the research institute? He explains grimly, it's just the cars parked on the 4th floor that were damaged, and the ground caved in slightly. Since there wasn't too much damage, the IYD will conduct internal investigation. What a huge relief. Yuyun flinches slightly, murmuring a quiet, uneasy. Yuyun clenches her fist, the thought swirling darkly in her head, it would make no sense if I tried to explain what caused this. She remembers staring at strange creatures hidden inside paintings since childhood. I've seen them from the moment I was born. Standing before a canvas as a little girl, she realizes no one else can see them. In her memory, adults gather behind her in uneasy shadows as she struggles with the truth. Trying to explain only makes people stare like she's a freak. She thinks bitterly, a dope KB had never emerged from a painting before, and yet this time it did. The question gnaws at her, why in the hell was it different this time? Jo Yuyun. The voice snaps her out of her thoughts. She jolts, clutching her chest with a weak irk. Choi Junol steadies her immediately and says firmly, go get checked again. She swats his concern away with exaggerated stubbornness. I didn't sustain any injuries today. Don't make a big deal out of a mere bruise. I'll be going. I'm going to return to the research institute. Junol stops her, Jo Yuyun. You're the one who was rescued at the site of the explosion. He adds that he and the others will need to conduct a full physical examination. Yuyun brushes it off stubbornly, I'll be fine. But Junol leans in closer, voice firm and low, do as I say. Then, almost warningly, he adds, before I personally check you myself. The intensity in his gaze makes Yuyun's golden eyes widen for just a second. After the Republic of Korea gained independence, the imperial family officially lost its political power. To make up for it, they pledged to live by bestowing sterling history. The palace gates stand tall under the blue sky, then the story pivots quietly, and now, the imperial family's role centers around protecting cultural diplomacy, national treasures and relics, and overseeing cultural heritage. Inside the palace, attendants murmur nervously. The crown prince didn't, someone begins, surprised. Yet the man in the red royal robe calmly appears anyway. The man is the 30th king, Lee Suk. Someone announces with relief, His Imperial Highness the Crown Prince has arrived. The Crown Prince approaches with an easy smile. My apologies, a problem arose. Were you pleased with the banquet? The king glances sideways and answers with mild teasing, what's there to be pleased with when the son of the host isn't there? The prince shrugs lightly. I will make sure to attend the next one. The king snorts, the next banquet is in 5 years from now, young man. The prince laughs awkwardly, rubbing his hairs back, haha, while the king studies him with a more serious expression. That precious body of yours, be more careful, won't you? Then the king abruptly calls him by name, Jian. The prince straightens slightly. The king continues thoughtfully, isn't it about time you bring in a crown princess? Jian smiles faintly. Don't worry. As soon as a bride that has those eyes shows up, I will wed her immediately. The king presses further, and if I've found one? If I've found a woman who possesses special eyes, will you really wed her immediately? Several hours earlier. The banquet hosted by the imperial family buzzes with conversation and clinking dishes. Someone remarks bluntly, isn't it time for the crown prince to bring in a wife now? Among the guests sits Choi Woo-sik, head of Seowa medicine. He smiles slyly as he says, I've heard that the crown prince possesses eyes that are able to see what other people cannot. The king replies, the time to look for one is now. A girl possessing special eyes is born in the 5 years following the crown prince's birth. Choi Woo-sik casually asks, then could you please give my daughter a chance? The king raises a brow. Your Majesty, my daughter, Choi Woo-sik answers, I believe my daughter has special eyes. At present, the king states, President Choi told me that his daughter has special eyes. If you meant what you said, you would wed her, right? The prince nods calmly. That's right. If she actually has special eyes, that is. As they walk through the palace corridor, Chief Woo-hyuk asks, what are your thoughts on what President Choi said? Do you think it's true? The prince replies, you're aware of what special eyes are, aren't you? Chief Woo-hyuk explains, anyone with an interest in the imperial family would be able to find out about them to some extent. The prince asks curiously, do you know who President Choi's daughter is? Woo-sik replies, I heard that she came back from Germany. She is a pianist named Choi Seo-la. Listening quietly, the crown prince simply nods once and replies, I see. Dope KBs are born inside paintings. Over time, they slowly grow stronger within the canvas until their powers finally manifest. When that happens, they escape, becoming malevolent spirits that torment people. Only after absorbing enough human energy do they finally break free completely, climbing their way out through the stairs of whatever dark realm they came from. Dope KBs are born inside paintings. Over time they grow stronger within the artwork until their power finally manifests. Once awakened, they slip free of the canvas, becoming malevolent spirits that torment people. Only after absorbing enough human energy do they fully escape, climbing their way out through the mysterious stairs of latent body. The monstrous form of a dope KBs looms in the mist as the explanation deepens. First comes phantom movement, where only subtle disturbances appear. Then the creature gains a conspicuous body, and suddenly the nightmare becomes visible to the human eye. But not everyone is blind to them. Since men are unable to be bestowed with special eyes that can see hidden dope KBs. And since women don't possess the power to kill the dope KBs because of this rare ability, the imperial family has always sought women with special eyes to help protect the country from the creatures. Apart from high-ranking bureaucrats and those that have manifested divine powers, the people that are aware of this face are few and far between, but, the crown prince mutters, he said he believes she has special eyes. Chief Woo-hyuk warns carefully, President Choi could have been lying. Haven't there been a couple families that have desperately tried to become in-laws with the imperial family? The crown prince replies casually, if it turns out he lied, I can just reject her. Chief Woo-hyuk sighs, wondering aloud, how about officially taking in a crown princess, even if it's not Choi Seo-la? The prince smirks slightly. What, because my work has been far too demanding since my grandfather died? He teases Chief Kim, are you hinting that I'll hurt a young crown princess? They continue walking under the palace lights. The prince replies, what, because my work has been far too demanding since my grandmother, who had special eyes, died? Are you hoping that I'll hurry up and get a crown princess? Chief Wukyuk states, if Her Majesty the Queen were here, I would not be brooding over the selection of a crown princess. The prince answers, my mother left because she despised the imperial family, just let bygones be bygones. I must confirm whether the master of the name Myeonbiu will join me. Like you hope she will. And see things that are really visible to Choi Seola's eyes. You said she's a pianist, right? After a beat, he gives an order, prepare a beautiful bouquet of flowers. And if not this time, then perhaps next time. Somewhere else, a young girl's profile appears faintly. The prince's quiet vow lingers, I'll finally find that girl. Meanwhile, Yuyun walks briskly through a hallway labeled Juingwon Medical Center. She sighs into her phone. In the end, I lost precious time getting re-examined because of Choi Jinul. She heads toward the parking lot. The person on the other line asks, where are you right now? Yuyun answers, I'm currently exiting the Seowon Medical Center. I'll arrive at the Hall of Arts in about 30 minutes. Then she warns sternly, don't even allow so much as an ant to go in there until I come. I am personally regulating things since the whole stalking thing might happen again like it did last time. Behind the wheel, she groans tiredly. Why do the personnel from the secretary department have to go on duty at family events? The engine roars, vroom, and she speeds off. At the Hall of Arts, where banners announce the Hall of Arts Seowa solo recital. Crowds chatter excitedly inside. Yuyun enters the busy lobby as whispers ripple through the crowd. Someone mutters, the executive team is going through the entrance. A girl whispers to her father, Dad, why are you greeting her superior? He hisses back, keep it down. She's a woman of authority in the secretary department. They say she's the Seowa family's adopted daughter. More murmurs follow as she moves through the crowd. Yuyun reports through her earpiece, Miss Seounju at gate 5 of the basket of flowers is being brought in right now. She approaches the entrance where the crowd thickens around the metal detector. The metal detector reacted to it, someone reports. Yuyun pushes forward decisively. I'm coming over now. Yuyun strides into the bustling lobby just as a commotion breaks out. A security crouches on the floor holding up a small device and announces, I found this. The surrounding crowd murmurs while a bouquet lies suspiciously nearby. Yuyun steps closer, inspects the gadget, and states calmly, this works with the Wi-Fi in the building, it's a wireless wiretap. The same security immediately springs into action, damn it, go search the building, quick. Yuyun keeps things orderly, asking one suspect politely but firmly, please hand over your ID card. If they deem you suspicious, the police will contact you. Kneeling beside the fallen bouquet, she notices something else and thinks, a letter was inside the basket of flowers. She unfolds the card and reads the message, I missed you. Her eyes narrow slightly as she wonders, it's handwriting, when Choi Seola sees this, will she know who it's from? The security guard suggests reporting it to higher-ups, but Yuyun waves it off. I'll go resolve this wiretapping problem myself. The assistant hesitates. You, section chief? Yuyun answers coolly, yes. Is that a problem? The security guard backpedals immediately, no, it, isn't. Yuyun heads for the waiting room, knocks on the door, and calls, come in. The door creaks open. Inside, the elegant pianist Choi Seola lounges in front of a mirror, dressed in a glamorous blue gown. She glances up, surprised. The heck, it's you? Seola explodes immediately, furious and dramatic. Hey! Did you put together something like this as my lunch? She holds up a messy takeout container dripping sauce. I'm going to starve to death, what are you going to do if I ruin my concert, huh? She throws out the ultimate insult, you should quit your job. Yuyan stares back with a perfectly flat expression as the thought crosses her mind with weary resignation. Here we go again. Yuyan stares deadpan of someone who has survived this exact meltdown before. Here we go again, she thinks flatly. Standing in the doorway, she calmly concludes that Choi Seola is just on edge because she's about to perform. Out loud, she reassures her, I will tell them to put together a new one. Yuyan lifts the small pink card and explains evenly, something that was found inside a bouquet that had a wiretap. She holds it up so Seola can read the message, I missed you. Yuyan adds matter-of-factly that she was wondering whether the pianist would recognize the handwriting. Seola recoils slightly, frowning. A wiretap, you say? How off-putting. She glances at the note again and shrugs. Well, I can't tell whoever's handwriting this is. What about the wiretap? Did you file a report about it? Yuyan answers calmly that she'll notify the executive director. She adds she was already planning to inform the manager on her way here. Seola's expression tightens uneasily. Nothing is going to happen, right? Yuyan answers in a steady tone, as you are well aware, it's our job to keep things from happening. Seola's eyes flash with irritation again. You should quit your job. And move out of our estate, too. Yuyan sighs inwardly, clearly hearing this speech for the 1000th time. Doesn't she ever get tired of saying the same thing? She thinks. Out loud she answers dryly, I cannot quit my job. Not even a month has passed since I reached an agreement on my salary. Seola explodes, join a different company. Switch jobs. Yuyan shrugs lightly. Unless it's a company that will pay me double my current salary, it's not leaving. Seola slams her hand down angrily. Then you mean you're going to keep leeching off of us? Have you no self-respect? Yuyan flicks her hair back with exhausted calm and replies, this is not a matter of self-respect. It is a matter of survival. Seola finally explodes completely. I've had enough of your laughable remarks. My brother even got engaged. Do you think he'll still look after you? Yuyan rubs her temple, already drained. Since he is engaged, he will be getting married soon. I don't have money so I can't give him a wedding gift. I am planning on doing work to make up for that. Seola suddenly grabs Yuyan by the collar, yanking her. Hey! What are you going to do if my brother annuls his engagement because of you? Yuyan's expression stays eerily calm despite the shaking. Yuyan snaps back coldly, gripping the pianist's wrist. I would snap those wrists of yours, but since you're a pianist, and today is your recital, I will spare them. Her eyes flash dangerously as she adds, I would have already done my separate ways if the president had not asked me to do this. So please quit your whining now. Seola squirms frantically. Okay. I said okay. You're hurting me, Jo Yuyan. At that exact moment the door bursts open, bang, and a man rushes in holding a bouquet. What is it that you're doing, Miss Jo Yuyan? The man kneels beside the shaken pianist and scolds Yuyan, you know that she becomes skittish before her recitals. Couldn't you have held back a bit? Yuyan answers flatly, right, I'm sorry. Then she folds her arms, staring at the chaotic dressing room with absolute exhaustion. I'm so sick of this. Yuyan picks up the framed sheet music and frowns. Where'd you get this from? She asks, lifting it slightly. A voice answers casually, from the imperial family. Instantly, Seola lights up like someone turned on heart-shaped fireworks in her brain. The imperial family? Did Li Jian send it over? She squeals, shoving her assistant aside. Yuyan quickly cuts the excitement short. Keep your hands off this. Seola freezes mid-grab, blinking. What? But why? She pouts dramatically and complains, "You're not acting unreasonably because it's a gift sent from the imperial family, are you?" Yuyun stares at the sheet music, suspiciously tightening her expression. "I had my suspicions, but," she thinks. She flips the frame over and sees the painting hidden inside the backing, a dope KB. The realization sinks in immediately. Inside the gift that was sent from Gyeongbokgung Palace is a dope KB. Her mind flashes back to the monstrous creature bursting from the previous painting. Why would they send her this piece of crap? She wonders grimly. Out loud, she sighs and mutters, "The imperial family sent over some junk. Please send this back to them." The room erupts. What? Seola and the assistant both shout in horror. Seola practically dives at Yuyun as she wails. "I can't. I absolutely cannot do that." "What do you mean send it back to them?" Yuyun holds the frame up calmly despite the chaos. The assistant mutters weakly that it's incredibly difficult to obtain vintage sheet music like that. Suddenly a familiar voice cuts in, "Listen to what Yuyun said." Everyone freezes as a tall man enters. Seola's eyes widen. "Appa?" The man stands there coolly and adds, "She must have her reasons for all of this." "Send it back." Seola panics again. "They said it was sent from Gyeongbokgung Palace, how could I send it back?" She worries dramatically that the sender might hate her for returning it. Her brother pats her head with an easy smile. "Sis, you look stunning today. I should have prepared a bouquet for you, huh?" She swats him away, pouting, "I don't need one. Why don't you grab that sheet music for me instead?" Her brother only laughs. "Do your best out there. I'll be watching from my seat in the audience." Then he turns toward Yuyun. "Section Chief Joe, follow me." He flips the framed piece casually in his hand as he walks out. Out in the hallway, Seola's voice echoes behind them, "Wah," as she complains about the situation. Walking beside Yuyun, the man says coolly, "I have to be on site ASAP, so it's going to be difficult for us to talk to each other." He glances sideways at her and adds dryly, "I didn't say we'd be talking. I just wanted to see you, too." Yuyun glances down at the framed image again and thinks sarcastically, "Now that I look at it, it seems pretty cute. Are sealed dope KB supposed to be that cute?" The man suddenly turns to her and asks, "What happened at the medical center?" Yuyun narrows her eyes and mutters, "I believed that you had received a report about it." "You're treating me like I'm a stalker now?" He replies calmly, "You are very well aware of every move I make." "My mistake." He presses the elevator button and warns sharply, "Stop acting impudent." Yuyun watches him, confused. What is he talking about? Then the memory crashes in, he was the one who suddenly introduced his fiancée out of nowhere, the woman he'd been dating for almost 7 years. She remembers the cold aftermath, "I guess it would be absurd for the successor to manwha medicine to marry me." Pushing the thought away, Yuyun steadies herself. Enough about that. With Choi Woo-sik's support, manwha medicine will be fine. He looks at her coolly and says, "Why don't you try begging me like other women do? Then I might just change my mind." Yuyun storms forward with sharp, echoing steps, thinking bitterly, "That's complete and utter bullshit." Director Choi Jinul sneers, "Are you going to keep acting like a child?" She snaps and fires back, "You're the one acting like a child. Let go of the past, executive director. Since I've spent my entire life a mess, I despise those that are indecent. So please, let go of the past and spend the rest of your life with your fiancé." Behind her, his jaw tightens with a quiet, dangerous grit. He suddenly snaps, "And what if I can't?" With a violent slam of his hand, he hits the emergency stop, bang, jolting the elevator to a halt. The abrupt lurch throws them together, and he stares down at her with raw intensity. What am I to do if I can't let go of you? Yuyun stares back, unimpressed, and mutters flatly, "Crazy bastard." He immediately grabs her face and crashes his lips against hers. Before their lips touch, she blocks the kiss with her hand and shoves him back with blazing eyes. This is sexual harassment, Executive Director. I'm warning you. You're taking this too far. Her heel clicks ominously as the framed sheet music begins to emit a dark, eerie glow. The air fills with a strange purple aura as he snarls, losing his composure completely. I said I'm not done yet. Yuyun shoves the man away with a furious move and stumbles back, only to freeze when smoky ink begins curling through the elevator. The dope KB's grotesque form lingers into existence in front of her. Her stomach drops. This can't be. She realizes with dread, Choi Jinul's been useless ever since he can't see anything. I have to do something. Choi Jinul crashes forward, pinning her down in the cramped elevator with a frustrated ugh. Stop being so stupid, Jo Yuyun. Transfer to the company I send you to. I'll give you an apartment under your name. So go and live there. Behind him, the dope KB's monstrous face begins to growl closer. Yuyun grimaces and mutters dryly, I'll pretend I didn't hear that. That's not important right now. But the creature lunges with a vicious growl, jaws opening wide. She instantly realizes the truth. The dope KB's claw slams down, stomp, as it lunges. Yuyun throws both hands forward and pushes with all her strength, forcing Choi Jinul off the way. She gasps in panic, whispering, no, sweat beads on her face as she realizes the danger. This is dangerous. The beast snaps its jaws inches from her arm with a terrifying lunge, its teeth clamping toward her sleeve as she clenches her fist, bracing herself. Suddenly, whoosh! A blazing red beam tears through the elevator like lightning. The dope KB recoils as the energy strikes it directly. The creature's body begins to shine, its monstrous shape dissolving into glittering particles. The smoke-like form hisses "Fishsh," breaking apart into sparkling dust as Yuyun collapses against the elevator wall with a heavy thud. He smiles calmly and says, "We meet again." Then he adds with unsettling ease, "But this is sooner than I expected." Yuyun staggers upright, mind racing. You're the one who caused this in the first place. The prince's duty is to protect the people from those monsters. Why on earth did he send a picture with that monster as a gift? She thinks bitterly. Out loud she blurts urgently, "There's a patient here." She hoists the unconscious executive director up with effort. The man watches with faint amusement as she explains to others, "Director Choi fainted because of his claustrophobia, and you opened the door, Your Highness." He chuckles softly, "Ha," while observing her carefully. Yuyun turns back with a perfectly polished business smile, suddenly all professionalism. Thank you for your help. I'm Jo Yuyun, the manager of the secretary's office in Seowa Group. The prince studies her with interest as she adds, "I have orders to guide you to your seat on the second floor, Your Highness." He tilts his head slightly and murmurs, intrigued, "Interesting." Yuyun walks down the corridor, heels clacking, thinking about the theater layout. The terrace is Chairman Choi's private box. It's a place where major deals happen behind closed doors. If Li Jian wanted to sit there tonight, she realizes grimly, he probably has something to do with the royal family's gift to Choi Seola. Her thoughts circle the same suspicious pieces, the dope KB hidden in the painting, Choi Seola, and the sudden appearance of the crown prince. The coincidence feels far too neat to be random. She remembers the prince's expression earlier, he had seemed strangely concerned about her. The memory of his eyes turning toward her makes the door behind him creak in her mind. And strangely, I also. Yuyun immediately shuts the thought down. Just focus on your job, Jo Yuyun. She sighs and reaches for a door handle as it rattles under her grip. I don't have the capacity to worry about other people. She slides the curtain open and steps into the hospital room. The executive director lounges casually on the bed, scrolling on his phone. He looks up in surprise. You're here? She cuts straight to the point. Why did you faint? Are you all right? He shrugs awkwardly. I feel fine now, but I don't know why I fainted. I felt like I was being strangled. She steps closer and grabs his arm, lifting it. I think you're the one who needs an examination. But suddenly he yanks her forward and pulls her into a tight embrace. His voice drops low near her ear. We need to talk. Yu-Yun immediately explodes. You bastard! She shoves him away hard. Just then, someone slides the curtain aside. A woman stands in the doorway, elegant, smiling politely. A caption reveals her identity, Seo Yona, Choi Junul's fiancé. She laughs lightly. If MSS Joe is here, I guess that means Junul is all right. Yu-Yun straightens herself and responds with professional politeness. Yes. Thankfully, he woke up right away. Yona smiles sweetly. Thank you for taking care of him. Yona gently moves closer to Junul. You should be in the audience, Yona. He glances sideways and answers calmly. I suddenly felt out of breath. Yona worries. Are you sure you can go to the performance hall? What if you faint again? He reassures her with a smooth tone. It's not that bad. And Seola would be upset if we didn't go now. Yu-Yun leads them down the hallway. I'll guide you to your seats. They enter the theater where rows of seats stretch out under dim lights. The audience settles in while the VIP terrace above holds two figures watching quietly. Standing alone near the stage entrance, Yu-Yun pauses. From the terrace, the crown prince looks down toward the floor seats, his gaze locking onto her small figure below in the dim auditorium. Standing below the terrace, Yu-Yun glances up toward the private box and wonders, did our eyes just meet? Above her, a man chuckles lightly and remarks, my daughter has seen odd things since she was young. That's why she's become a bit sensitive, but, he continues conversationally, I happen to hear about the sacred eye. On stage, Seola's fingers glide across the piano keys while the man muses, I'm sure Seola isn't the only woman in this world with the sacred eye. Watching her perform, he casually suggests, wouldn't it be better to marry a woman with a background that can benefit the royal family? He laughs softly. Was that too blatant? Haha. The crown prince watches the stage calmly and replies, I think it's better to be blatant in a deal, although, his gaze sharpens. I'll have to confirm if it's true first. Down below, Yu-Yun sighs, unaware she's being observed. If she really has the eye, it will only require a simple test. The prince turns slightly toward his companion. By the way, does Seowa Pharmaceuticals always bring company employees to private family events? The man beside him fidgets nervously and answers quickly, well, the guards are paid an extra bonus, and the secretary's office works directly for me. The prince hums thoughtfully. The employee who guided you here is like a doorman, is that so? The man nods awkwardly. Right, of course. I'm sure Seowa wouldn't overwork their employees in this day and age. Meanwhile, the prince's thoughts drift back to the hospital earlier. That odd sensation I felt when we were at the hospital. He remembers Yu-Yun turning toward him in the light. Could it be that she? A slow grin spreads across his face as the idea clicks into place. Looks like it's time for a test. The crown prince rises smoothly from his seat in the private box and announces calmly, I'll send a fiancé letter soon. The chairman blinks in surprise as the prince adds, I'll send two. One for Miss Choi Seola, and one for that secretary who is like an adopted daughter to you. The chairman stammers, But your highness," as the prince strides toward the exit. Without even turning fully around, the prince excuses himself coolly, "I'm busy now, so you'll have to excuse me." Pausing at the doorway, he glances back over his shoulder and adds, "I'll see you at Gyeongbokgung Palace next time." Behind him, the chairman's face tightens with visible panic. The chairman sputters helplessly, "Why you can't do this to me?" Meanwhile, the prince calmly exits the theater. Walking down the hallway, the prince frowns in confusion. "I sent the gift to Choi Seol-ah, so why did that woman have it?" Woo-hyuk reasons aloud, perhaps she was asked to discard it, or maybe Miss Jo sensed that it was dangerous. The prince replies evenly, "That's what I think, too. I'm thinking about changing the plan and holding a royal audition instead." The assistant panics anxiously. Papers and headlines about royal marriage selections swirl dramatically in his imagination. That definitely means working overtime. The prince remains quiet for a moment. "If Jo Yu-yeon," he murmurs thoughtfully. His mind drifts to the image of her earlier that night. Really is that girl. The memory flashes, Yu-yeon standing in front of the painting, hair lifting in the light. She had awkwardly corrected herself, "Sunbae. I mean, Your Highness." The prince recalls the moment and decides with calm certainty, "Then I won't let her get away." Outside, cameras flash as the prince walks through the crowd, people screaming "Kya," and reporters snapping photos. He walks through the crowd buzzing with attention, camera flashes popping like fireworks around him. In a quiet memory layered over the scene, he confesses softly, "I wanted to meet her again," as the image shifts to a woman standing alone at an easel by a sunlit window, finishing the thought, "I wanted to see her again," and suddenly, a horrific crash fills the next scene. Two wrecked cars tangled in smoke at an intersection while the young prince stands frozen in shock, staring at the devastation. His stunned younger face lingers like a ghost in the dark as the present returns. The prince now reclines calmly in the back of a sleek car, while the assistant reports, "If you really want to hold a royal audition, you'll have to discuss it with Lady Seo." Normally, the royal court is in charge of royal auditions, but since the queen is absent right now, the prince finishes the thought smoothly, "That will make things too serious." The assistant frowns, suddenly suspicious. "Wait, do you have another purpose for holding a royal audition?" Then realization hits. "Ah. Don't tell me you want to find the person through the royal audition?" The prince simply shrugs with a lazy "why not?" He changes the subject with casual authority, "Anyway, deliver 2 false letters to Chairman Choi." The assistant looks utterly exhausted, while the prince lounges with a faint smirk. "Whether I hold a royal audition, and whether I get married," he muses, eyes glinting, "will depend on the answer." The car arrives at a traditional compound as the bright city skyline stretches behind old palace rooftops. Somewhere nearby, a quiet beep, beep, echoes. Inside a hospital, President Choi and Yu-yeon stand behind glass watching a patient in a bed surrounded by machines. The man gently urges her, "Yu-yeon, it's time you stop suffering because of this." Inside the room, the woman on the bed breathes through an oxygen mask. The thought rings heavily, "It's been 13 years now." Yu-yeon stares through the glass, voice trembling as she reflects, "I've helplessly watched my bedridden mother all this time." Memories flood in, her father's funeral after a fatal car accident, and the devastating aftermath, "And my mother fell into a vegetative state." She remembers the day of the accident itself. "On the day of the accident, I forgot everything about that day." Amnesia stole her memories. "My life became a living hell, and it couldn't get any worse." But then, tap, someone placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. That someone was Mr. Choi, an old friend of her parents'. With a warm smile and an outstretched hand, he took me in. He even helped pay for her mother's treatment. In the hospital room, a doctor calmly instructs, "Watch now. Watch how Hyron reacts." Machines hiss softly as the bedridden woman breathes. Slowly, blink. Her eyes open. Outside the glass, Yun gasps, tears welling as she realizes she opened her eyes. Her voice trembles with hope. Mom opened her eyes. Of course, she can only stay awake for a very short time. Yun presses her hands against the glass, overwhelmed, tears streaming down her face as the fragile moment slips by. The doctor explains gently that her conscious time will increase with more injections. One day, she'll be able to wake up on her own. Overwhelmed, she whispers, "Thank you," then she rushes toward the man beside her, bowing deeply and clutching his arm. "Thank you so much, Mr. Choi. You're my savior." Mr. Choi smiles kindly and pats her shoulder. "So, Yun, I need to tell you something." They sit together in the hospital waiting area beneath sterile lights and distant hospital chatter. He glances at her and asks quietly, "Are you that happy?" Yun nods without hesitation. "Yes." He studies her hands as she fidgets nervously with a small cup. "You know, Yun, I know what you see and feel. I even know what your eyes are called." Yun stiffens, confused and uneasy. "I don't know what you're talking about," but he waves it off gently. "You don't need to hide from me. Because your father told me himself. I'm never going to reveal this to anyone." Yun's hands tremble as she blurts out, "I promised my father." Mr. Choi assures, "I won't let anyone know about it. I'll make sure this won't trouble you." She tries to pull away, but Mr. Choi suddenly catches her wrist. He leans closer, smiling in a way that feels less comforting now. "Can't you use your ability to help Seola?" Yun blinks in confusion, completely thrown off. Mr. Choi explains calmly, as if discussing a simple inconvenience. "Actually, Seola has a problem with her hands. She'll have to quit piano within a few years. All her finger joints are slowly stiffening." The thought echoes in her mind, her hands. Mr. Choi lowers his voice, making the proposal sound almost grand. "Yun, I want to send my poor Seola to Gyeongbok Palace." Yun stares at him, stunned. He clarifies with quiet ambition, "The queen. I want my Seola to become the queen." "Do you personally know the crown prince?" he asks. She shakes. "No, I don't know him." Mr. Choi leans back with a calculating smile. "Really? That's strange. You two were. Anyway, Yun. If Seola becomes the prince's fiancé, I'll take full responsibility for your mother's treatment." The words echo in Yun's mind as her heart pounds painfully, throb, throb, like a cruel bargain dressed as salvation. He persuades, "Just as your father wished, all right? You can save your mother and live happily ever after." But the pressure crushes her chest. "But I don't know how I can help." "There's nothing I can do," Mr. Choi leans in confidently, speaking like a man who has already decided everything. "Don't worry, I have a plan." Yun sits stiffly on the hospital bench, gripping her cup as if it might shatter in her hands. He adds smoothly, "You just have to do as I say." The words land less like advice, and more like an order. Doubt floods Yun's mind as she stares ahead, eyes wide with uncertainty. Can I really trust him? She wonders. The thought twists deeper, knowing what he's going to make me do. Her gaze drifts to the hospital room, her mother lying motionless with an oxygen mask. The answer forms painfully in her chest. No. I can trust Mr. Choi. Her thoughts spiral through memories, her father's funeral, the years spent beside her mother's hospital bed, the quiet loneliness of it all. Then softer memories surface too, happier days from long ago, sunlight, laughter, the life she once had. I can be happy too, she tells herself desperately. Just like before. Her resolve finally crystallizes into a single decision. I'll do it. Yuyun lifts her head and meets Mr. Choi's gaze with forced determination. But her voice steadies as she sets her one condition. You have to promise to save my mother. Under a bright full moon overlooking the glittering city skyline, an elderly attendant approaches a man dressed in royal robes. Bowing respectfully, he says, Your Majesty. His Highness ordered to send a fiancé letter to Chairman Choi's residence. The king immediately perks up. Finally, he exclaims, before asking eagerly, What is Jian doing right now? The attendant answers calmly, He's in a meeting in the Sejong Hall. The king sighs deeply, gazing upward with conflicted emotion. He's straining himself. There's pride in his voice, but also concern. It's upsetting that he matured so quickly. The RSA stands for Royal Special Affair, handles national incidents tied to the mysterious Imaya, a responsibility far heavier than most realize. A framed painting held in careful gloved hands, one of the national treasures once displayed at Gallery Yewa, the Royal Art Gallery. The gallery used to house priceless works loaned from around the world, a symbol of cultural prestige and royal stewardship. But now things are different. Jian currently manages both the RSA and Gallery Yewa himself, an enormous burden. The king looks out over the moonlit city and chuckles softly. If only he had another sibling, he wouldn't have to overwork himself like this. Then the royal aide calls out, By the way, Your Majesty. His Highness ordered 2 fiancé letters, to be sent to Chairman Choi. The king frowns, puzzled. I thought Chairman Choi only had one daughter that he adores. The king strokes his chin thoughtfully before giving a quiet order. Find out what this is about, and do it quietly. The attendant bows again. Yes, Your Majesty. Meanwhile, somewhere else in the city, a man jogs through the dimly lit streets wearing a cap and mask, clearly trying to stay unnoticed. Should I ask for a raise? My blind date was a complete mess. People's daily mundane life and conversation passes by him one after another. One woman boldly declares, I'm going to marry this guy. His thoughts drift into a more philosophical tone. A good ruler knows how to listen to even the smallest whispers in the world. Because the smallest whispers in the world tend to be sad, the weak and the weak masses. He believes firmly that the royal family exists for the people, and must become a pillar they can rely on. Traffic halts at a busy intersection and he slows down, blending quietly into the crowd. His eyes narrow with resolve behind the mask. And I won't have any more regrets. A grim memory flashes, a violent car crash, twisted metal, and young girl crying beside an injured man. Her desperate vow echoes. The jogger glances back toward the city lights, finishing his thought quietly, I won't ruin things anymore. Because now, the scene shifts to a peaceful nighttime park overlooking the city. A group of people admire the view. Wow, the view is so pretty here. Nearby, sitting alone on a bench under the soft glow of streetlights, Yuyun lowers her gaze to the photo, silently staring at her family photo, whispering in her thoughts. Not far away, the same man jogs along the path, slowing as he notices her. The night air hangs heavy. Yuyun lowers her eyes to the photo and murmurs softly, How are you doing, Dad? A bittersweet smile flickers across her lips before she sighs. Who in the world gets a funeral on their birthday? I would have taken you to a charnel house if I had more money, but... I'm sorry, at least I bring you here every year. It's nice, right? The jogger, realizing something. Today must be the day her father passed away, he thinks quietly. Yuyun wipes at her eyes and speaks softly toward the sky. Dad. I was about to give up because everything was so painful. Her voice trembles, but she forces a brave smile. But I'm glad that I didn't give up. Mom woke up after 13 years. The jogger's eyes widen slightly. 13 years. He repeats internally, his curiosity suddenly piqued. He twitches in surprise, then mutters to himself, could it be? Meanwhile Yu-Yun suddenly slaps her face sharply, as if trying to shake herself back into focus. The jogger quickly turns away, pretending to mind his own business while secretly listening. Yu-Yun pulls out her phone and makes a call, trying to keep her voice steady. I'm at the top of the Bukak Mountain Park Trail. I need a driver to go to Gyeongbokgung. The reply disappoints her immediately. She sighs, defeated, oh, you can't come. I see. Thank you. She rubs her forehead with a weary sigh. Just then, the jogger steps forward slightly and asks casually, do you need someone to drive for you? Startled, Yu-Yun looks up. Are you talking to me? The man nods lightly and explains, yes. Looks like you've had a few drinks. Then he flashes a cheerful, I'm not a bad man, grin, I'll drive you, and I'll only charge you the base fare. Yu-Yun stares at him suspiciously, tilting her head. The jogger panics internally, I'm sure she'll recognize me once I'm this close. But instead she squints and says slowly, you seem familiar. The man freezes. Her thoughts spiral into frantic denial. Impossible. There's no way that guy would be here. The jogger man thought, that guy? Is she talking about me? Meanwhile Yu-Yun fumbles nervously with her bag. She says cautiously, give me your phone as collateral. I'll return it to you after we arrive. The jogger chuckles under his breath. Pfft, all right. He offers his hand as if sealing a deal. Moments later, a sleek car screeches to a stop under the glowing moonlight, ready to take them away. Inside the car, the man glances back and says simply, we're here. He turns toward her with a small mischievous grin, then speaks her name calmly. Miss Jo Yu-Yun. Yu-Yun, meanwhile, has already dozed off in the passenger seat, clutching her bag as the car gently rocks to a stop. Inside the parked car, the man leans closer and gently taps the sleeping woman's shoulder. Miss Jo, we're here. Yu-Yun stirs groggily, blinking awake with a soft tap-tap, murmuring half asleep, oh, yes. Moments later she stumbles out of the car, wobbling slightly on her feet in the quiet night air. Before he can say anything else, Yu-Yun suddenly pushes a bill into his hand. He stares down at it, confused. What? Oh. She beams brightly, far too cheerful for someone clearly tipsy. I'm paying more since you have to walk all the way down the hill. The man chuckles softly and casually raises his cap with one hand. There's something else I need other than money, Miss Jo. Yu-Yun tilts her head, momentarily puzzled. Then her brain finally catches up, loading complete. Her eyes widen in shock. She immediately blurts out, Lee Jian? Jian waves the device teasingly in front of her. I need my phone back. She stammers nervously, why your highness? Why is his majesty here? Jian smirks lazily and replies, took you long enough to realize that. He casually slips the phone away and adds with a light warning, don't drink in the park anymore. It's dangerous. Then he turns and starts walking off into the night with a relaxed posture, leaving Yu-Yun staring after him in stunned silence. Suddenly the quiet is broken by the whir of an approaching helicopter overhead. A voice crackles through a radio, we found His Highness. I repeat, we found His Highness. Jian stops walking and calls back calmly, Miss Jo. Jian glances back over his shoulder and slowly removes his cap, revealing his face fully in the moonlight. With an easy, confident smile he says, look carefully at the person who drove your car for you. Because this is who I am. The beam briefly washes over her face, illuminating her stunned expression as the realization of who just drove her here fully sinks in. Shaken but determined, Yu-Yun turns and marches toward the mansion entrance, muttering to herself in disbelief. He's a prince during the day and a driver at night. As she approaches the towering doors, her thoughts spiral. Did I look so pitiful that the prince felt compelled to help me? She glances at the imposing main entrance and shakes her head. That door isn't for me. Instead, she slips through a quieter side entrance with a soft creak. This is the door I can use. Suddenly a frantic cry echoes through the mansion. Someone, please help me. Yuyan's head snaps up in alarm. What happened? She calls out, immediately dashing toward the commotion. Inside, she finds an aide struggling to hold up an unconscious Jinul. The aide looks relieved when he sees her. Ms. Zhou, he says urgently. Seriously, this jerk. Let's move him together. The aide nods. All right. Between the two of them they drag the unconscious Jinul across the room toward the bedroom. They drop him onto the bed with a dramatic flop. Gasp, as the aide explains, he drank by himself. He doesn't usually get this drunk, but Yuyan wipes her brow and groans, he's freaking heavy. After catching his breath, the aide straightens his tie and ready to call it a day as Yuyan says politely, good work. I'll see you tomorrow. He pauses and adds kindly, yes, Ms. Zhou. You should get some rest too. The door closes with a creak and clack, leaving Yuyan alone in the room. She glances back at the bed suspiciously. I don't think I get paid enough for all of this. Maybe I should renegotiate. Suddenly, yank. Jinul's hand shoots out and grabs her, pulling her down onto the bed. Pinned against his chest, Yuyan freezes as Jinul opens his eyes, faintly flushed but very much awake. He murmurs softly, "You're finally looking at me." She panics instantly. What do you think you're doing? Let go. But Jinul tightens his hold and calmly says, I said I want to talk to you. Yuyan's patience instantly detonates. Slap. Her hand smacks across his face as she snaps, and I told you to stop. Then she huffs angrily, glaring down at him. Do you get that I'm still holding back, even now? Yuyan completely loses her patience. Whack! Whack! The pillow comes down on Jinul again and again as she unleashes every ounce of pent-up rage. I'm the one who looked up the wedding hall for you and your fiancé. And I'm the one who chose the gift for your fiancé. The pillow slams down harder. She doesn't stop there, whack! Thwack! Whomp, as she shouts, I didn't blame you even when you introduced your fiancé to me all of a sudden. And now, you're asking me to become your mistress. How can you call yourself a human? She cries, voice shaking. On the bed, Jinul lies stunned, his face flushed and eyes wide as the weight of her words hits him. Yuyan wipes her tears and rushes toward the door. Behind her, Jinul jolts upright, calling after her urgently, Yuyan. You still like me, don't you? The door answers for him with a violent slam as she storms out. Her words echo into a darker memory, someone's cold voice sneering from the past, there's no future for a pianist with ruined hands. So before it's too late, I have to find another path for her. Sitting alone on her bed, she clenches her resolve. I don't care if Choi Seola really becomes the queen or not. I'll just take what I can get. But I heard that the royal family tests potential candidates before choosing a crown princess. Her fingers drift to her cheek as another thought surfaces. If Mr. Choi asked me to have something to do with the eye, a warm memory of her father surfaces. He smiles gently, resting a comforting hand on her head. Yuyan, do whatever you want to do. You'll become a great person one day. No matter what you buy and like, no matter what you see, and no matter what people say about you, a tear slips down her cheek, as she recalls his final encouragement, you do whatever you want, my dear daughter. Yuyan rubs her eyes trying to compose herself. Maybe I drank too much. Why do I keep crying? I used to think that was only natural. But now I know that's not true. Determined, she clicks open her email, staring at a cluttered inbox. I really need to clean up my inbox. If I'm going to accept Mr. Choi's offer, I need to know more about the royal family. She types into a search bar, royal family information. Her thoughts race. Decorating paintings, eyes that can see the invisible, and the one who appears whenever a dope KB appears. She clicks the result revealing the name, Lee Jian. A profile page pops up, age, 31. Affiliation, Gyeongbok Palace RSA, the Korean royal family, Yewa Royal Art Gallery. Education, Seoul Royal High School, Jipyeonjeon Hall, Korea University, business major, PhD in art history. Height 189 centimeters, weight 80 kilograms. Served in the army. Yuyun suddenly stiffens when she reads Seoul Royal High School. A memory surfaces. I went there until the summer of my senior year in high school before my parents got into an accident. Her eyes widened in confusion. If I went to the same school as the Crown Prince, but I don't remember him at all. After a moment she exhales. I shouldn't dwell on it if I can't remember. I should go to sleep now. It's almost summer. I hope summer goes by quickly. Morning arrives with soft sunlight and birds chirping outside the royal residence. Yuyun stretches and yawns while wandering into the kitchen to see Seola eating breakfast. She wonders, doesn't she have anywhere to go for the weekend? Yuyun sits down and notices an empty bowl. What's this empty bowl for? Seola replies, it's the manager's. He went to buy me a hangover drink. Yuyun perks up instantly. Hangover drink, as the housekeeper slides a bowl toward her. She accepts the bowl gratefully. Thank you, ma'am. The housekeeper waves it off. Don't mention it. Meanwhile Seola flips asks, did you hear, Yuyun? Yuyun shrugs lazily while chewing. Whatever it is, no. I don't care. Seola shouts at her, hey, how come you're never serious? Yuyun keeps eating and shoots back dryly, I'm only not serious when I talk to you. Because you're always so rude. Seola slams a hand on the table. Hey! Hey! Yuyun slams her hands down with zero patience left. I told you, I'm not your subordinate outside of working hours. Show some respect. Seola just scoffs and casually drops gossip like it's the morning weather report. Mom and dad are getting back together. Even though they should be getting a divorce. They think it's not good to be separated when Seola gets married or something. Like what? What a joke. Yuyun quietly nibbles her food while thinking back to the past. When I moved in and started living with the family, her mother left. The thought settles heavily. That's why she hates both me and her mother. Yuyun says out loud, hey, did Mr. Choi talk to you about the family's future or anything like that? Seola, no. Why? Yuyun shrugs. Oh, I see. Seola frowns slightly. Come on, why did you ask that? Then Yuyun mutters to herself, suspicious. So, Choi Seola doesn't know about the plan to marry her into the royal family. A few days later, the cafeteria buzzes with chatter and murmurs. Yuyun eats quietly while the entire room erupts in speculation. What? Is that news real? Someone whispers loudly, won't there be a royal audition? The rumor mill spins faster, this is the first royal audition since the Joseon dynasty. Who will you send the fiancé letter to? Is she a businesswoman or someone with a political background? On the news screen, Lee Jian stands in front of a forest of microphones. Calm and composed, he says, I can't say much about it since that's confidential royal family information. However, I'm sure that person already knows. Jian gives a faint, knowing smile. I think it should have arrived by now. The fiancé letter email. Yuyun instantly goes ghost white, pale. Her spoon slips from her fingers as she recalls the email inbox she saw previously. Her mind races. No way. That wasn't spam. Two fangirls squeal dramatically, clutching their hands as one gasps. Does that mean I can see the prince in person if I join the royal audition? The other adds dreamily, I want to know what he looks like in real life. Meanwhile, Yuyun sits quietly with her tray, hearing whispers about a royal audition. Her imagination immediately spirals into chaos as she pictures Seola princess lounging arrogantly on a throne shouting, "Bwahahaha. I'm the ruler," in full dramatic villain energy. Her brain short-circuits at the thought, is Choi Seola going to be chosen as the crown princess at the audition? The realization hits her like a truck because in this country, that would mean this country is doomed. Wait, I received 2 emails. Korean royal family. Before she can process it fully, she grabs her things and dashes off from the cafeteria, her coworker watching her sudden exit with confusion. You're already done with your meal, manager? Watching Yuyun run off at top speed, the coworker mutters to herself, she didn't eat as much as usual. At her desk she frantically clicks through the inbox. The emails open with the same formal message, Dear Choi Seola, here is your fiancé letter. The password is, she stares at the screen in stunned disbelief. Why did I get one too? Is it because I kept running into Lee Jian recently? She wonders, pressing the power button on her monitor as the memory flashes through her mind. With a deep breath, she decides, I should talk about this with Mr. Choi first. Just as she stands to leave, her coworker spins around in her chair and calls out cheerfully, Ms. Zhou, you should have some coffee before work. Then she casually drops a bombshell, there's something missing in the report, you go ahead. She walks down the quiet office hallway toward a closed door and gently pushes it open. Inside, several executives sit around, and someone asks, did it arrive, Seola's fiancé letter? Yuyun answers calmly, yes, it arrived. The room erupts with smug satisfaction, congratulations, sir. President Choi smirks confidently and waves the others away. Now. I need to talk about my Seola's fiancé letter with Ms. Zhou. Please give us some privacy now. The others bow repeatedly as they hurry out, leaving. Once the door shuts with a clack, she gets straight to the point. There was nothing special about the fiancé letter, we just have to fill in the information truthfully and send it. President Choi leans back with a displeased expression and mutters darkly, they backstabbed me, he should have announced choosing a fiancé, not a royal audition. Yuyun sits down calmly as he suddenly asks, then, does one have the right to refuse this royal audition? He answers matter-of-factly, of course. But why would you ask that? After a sigh, she brushes it off, it's nothing. The man chuckles, explaining, I think the royal audition is just an excuse to help people understand. I mean, normal people don't know about the qualifications of a queen. Nobody can object if a queen is chosen through an audition. She simply nods quietly, thinking to herself, I don't care about that as long as I can refuse. Now, tell me, what exactly are these qualifications? The requirement? Simply eyes that can see strange things. In other words, ghost eyes. Rare eyes. Do you remember what your father told you? Avoid the royal family and do whatever you want. Just work for 3 years. All she has to do is convince them that Seola has those eyes. The plan gets darker as he explains the rumor behind it. Apparently, the queen lost her ability after giving birth to the prince. The imagery flashes brutally through Zhou's mind, blood, panic, a woman clutching her head. And the conclusion is disturbingly simple, Seola will lose the ability after giving birth. You'll be free once she gives birth, he promises, presenting the plot like a perfect bargain. Sitting across from him, she listens while he smugly concludes, "This is a win-win strategy for all of us, Yun." She says flatly, "Gyeongbok Palace won't be fooled that easily, and what you're attempting to do is a crime." The man doesn't flinch. Instead, he smiles calmly and replies, "Are you sure about this? A parent will do anything for their child." Meanwhile, somewhere far less dramatic but far more chaotic, shipping containers. Woo Hyuk urgently calls, a large amount of artwork from Cambodia was smuggled. They're as precious as national treasures. Please find them right away. Your Highness. The prince is too busy looking at the royal audition replies. He shows his phone to Woo Hyuk. "You only see one reply too, right?" He confirms calmly, "Yes, I see one." The Woo Hyuk whispers nervously, "Your Highness, we don't have time. You have to find the materialized Imaa." The prince mumbles, so, she doesn't plan to reply to her letter. Woo Hyuk tries to clarify, asking carefully, "Are you talking about Ms. Jo?" But the prince is already staring at his phone with quiet certainty. She's refusing, clearly recognizing what's happening while the aide internally panics about his boss's ability to ignore him completely. Suddenly, flutter. A tiny glowing golden bird appears in the sky between the containers. Woo Hyuk yelps, "You have to go find the Imaa, Your Highness." "We have to find it before it causes trouble." The prince calmly reaches out and catches the golden bird. The golden bird perches delicately on his finger, glowing brighter and brighter until its light spills into the air like glittering magic. Woo Hyuk peers closer, baffled. "Huh? Isn't that a teardrop?" Apparently, sometimes Imaa or divine creatures leave precious teardrops. The prince hands it over casually, "Looks like this one lived for a long time. You can have it." Woo Hyuk nearly explodes with joy, celebrating the "Wow, this is such a rare item." Then back to serious mode, he asks, "When did you catch the Imaa?" The prince shrugs. "Just now while talking to you." Woo Hyuk blinks, completely baffled. What on earth was it? A little bird. Anyways, let's open the royal treasure room for once. Invite Choi Seola to the palace. A week after replying to the fiancé letter, a sleek black car glides toward the palace. Inside, Seola grumbles bluntly, "Dad is insane." Yuyun sits beside her calmly and simply replies, "I agree." Seola adjusts the tiny earphone in her ear and checks the hidden camera clipped to Yuyun's clothes before asking nervously, "Do you think I can really pull this off? By the way, do you really see ghosts? Is that why you sometimes act like a freak?" Yuyun answers calmly, "Yeah." "Does your right shoulder feel a bit heavy right now?" Seola instantly screams in absolute terror while Yuyun smiles serenely beside her like she didn't just casually weaponize supernatural anxiety. Recovering from the scare, Seola clears her throat. Ahem. Am I really going to become the crown princess? Yuyun glances at her and asks simply, "Do you want to?" Seola immediately brightens. "Well, I'll become the most famous woman in Korea. That's fine with me." Yuyun keeps driving, reminding her dryly, "But you're lying to the royal family." In Yuyun's mind, a tiny mental image pops up of Seola smugly posing like a queen, "Only until I have a baby." Yuyun sighs and comments flatly, "You sure are fascinating." Seola immediately snaps back, "Is that an insult?" Seola suddenly sparkles with excitement as she gushes, "By the way, I heard the prince was at my last performance." "Did you see him? He's really that handsome? Like, did you see a halo behind him? You'd better do this right, Jo Yuyun. I heard my dad is going to save your mom. Your mom's life is at stake, so you have to make the future queen. You're lucky to have the eye, but you're not interested in becoming a royal anyway." Yuyun wonders, what is she talking about? Then she states, I see reporters, so I'm in work mode now. Don't answer any of their questions. Seola smiles confidently, heart pounding bottom, and reassures with bright determination in her eyes. She declares to herself, don't worry. I can do this. The moment the car door opens, the press swarm descends like hungry seagulls with cameras. Miss Choi Seola, they shout as flashes explode everywhere. Flash. Flash. Questions fly non-stop. Are you visiting for the royal audition? Are you participating in the royal audition? Please share a few words with us. Seola steps out like she's walking a red carpet, while Yuyan trails beside her trying not to get blinded by paparazzi strobes. Seola pauses just long enough for the cameras to devour her image, hair shimmering, expression confident, photographers yelling Miss Choi Seola, with frantic click-click flash energy. Then she strides forward through the palace courtyard with Yuyan. Inside the palace complex, a sign reads Gallery Yeowa. But the moment Yuyan approaches, the atmosphere shifts violently. The sky seems to bleed red in her vision as black, smoky shapes coil around the building like living nightmares. Her thoughts churn, she's meeting him here? The oppressive aura hits hard, nauseous, wavering, dizzy. She can barely breathe. Seola walks ahead confidently, but Yuyan slows to a halt as the ghostly fog thickens. There are a lot of them. Imae, staring at the writhing shadows. Her chest tightens, heart-pounding throb, and panic spreads through her body. I can't go in there. Don't go in there. Suddenly, a calm male voice appears behind her. A man glances at the building and casually remarks, this place smells really bad. Then he flashes a soft, sparkly smile that feels weirdly comforting against the oppressive atmosphere. She murmurs thoughtfully, oh, I see. As she was about to step forward, he arm blocks in front of her. Then, he stops himself midway and raises both hands in surrender. Sorry, I don't usually approach someone like this, but you look like you needed help. Yuyan narrows her glowing golden eyes in suspicion. Clearly not impressed. She stomps away muttering internally, what the heck? Meanwhile the man calls after her calmly, I told you not to go in there. Inside the gallery, Yuyan's supernatural senses explode into overdrive. Curtains ripple while black shadows seep from every corner. Here, there, the entire place is full of Imae, she realizes, glancing around nervously as the room practically crawls with unseen spirits. The pressure overwhelms her instantly. I feel dizzy, she gasps, staggering through the hall while ghostly shapes loom behind her. She bolts away. What's wrong with her? She barrels straight toward the restroom and collapses over the toilet, groaning and retching from the spiritual overload. Meanwhile, Yuyan speaks to Seola's earpiece, say that you can't do this. Say that there are too many of them here. Do some acting. Yuyan could barely finish before retching miserably, thinking in despair that this is all spiraling out of control. I thought I would ask her to choose painting with an Imae. But they simply wanted to know if she really has the eye. The performance escalates quickly. Seola dramatically collapses, clutching herself as if the invisible horrors are unbearable. I feel really sick, it's too scary here, she groans. The palace attendants whisper nervously among themselves, could it be? Is it true? Then everything pauses when a calm voice enters the scene. Greetings, Miss Choi. Seola looks up, cheeks turning pink as the absurdly handsome man approaches with a polite smile, Lee Jian himself. He introduces himself simply, I'm Lee Jian. Seola immediately switches into full royal romance mode, kneeling like she's in a historical drama. I'm Choi Seola, Your Highness. She reaches for his offered hand, practically glowing with excitement. Lee Jian studies her calmly. So, you can't do this? Seola claps her hands together sweetly and answers breathlessly, I feel a bit better after seeing you. But she continues the act, still, I'm scared. There are too many strange things here. I don't know where to look. Standing beside him, Seola glances up dreamily, little hearts practically floating around her head. How can he be so perfect, she thinks while trying to keep her composure. Meanwhile Li Jian simply observes her, clearly assessing every word. Li Jian smiles politely, his face practically sparkling with prince-level charm. Seola's imagination immediately launches into fantasy mode, wedding bells, flowers, royal gowns, I want to legally bind him to me. Li Jian gently suggests, you should rest a bit if this is tough for you. Let's go to the Gyeonghoru Pavilion. He turns and walks ahead without hesitation. Seola rushes after him, struggling to keep up. He walks too fast. As Li Jian pauses near a doorway, Yuyan finally reappears, still pale from the supernatural overload. She looks up and greets him carefully, greetings, Your Highness. Li Jian studies her with quiet curiosity. You look like you feel rather unwell, Ms. Zhou. Behind him, Seola suddenly appears between them with a suspicious huh, clearly realizing something interesting is happening. As the trio walks through the palace corridors, Seola can't stop side-eyeing the situation. In her head she fumes, why is he being so nice to Yuyan all of a sudden? Then it gets worse, she notices the prince subtly slowing down. Why is he matching her pace? Why? They're seated at an elegant table filled with palace dishes when Li Jian gestures politely. You came all this way, so you should at least have some of the food. Yuyan, still pale, mutters stubbornly, I'll say this again, but I'm not the guest who was invited here. Li Jian looks genuinely puzzled. I thought we were close enough to share some food, at least. Yuyan shuts that idea down instantly, no, we're not. Then the prince casually drops a bombshell. Ms. Zhou, you received a fiancé letter as well. Why didn't you reply? Both women jolt in shock. What? Yuyan scrambles for damage control. I think there was a misunderstanding. I'm not qualified. Li Jian watches her closely, lightly crunching a snack while smiling. So you just deleted the letter? By the way, what is this qualification you mentioned? Yuyan replies, I don't know. Li Jian pivots to Seola, Miss Choi. Startled, Seola blurts, yes? He asks directly, do you believe that you are qualified to be the crown princess? She answers immediately and confidently, yes. He leans back, still nibbling calmly. So, you can see. Seola launches into her rehearsed speech like she's reading straight off a script. Yes, I can see. So stop interrogating my dear Yuyan. She puffs proudly, completely convinced she nailed the performance. Yuyan sits there dying internally, thinking, just shut up. The more you talk, the more obvious it is. Seola glows with proud energy while Yuyan gathers herself, still feeling the supernatural tension lingering in the room. Then Yuyan senses something, slither. Dark smoke seeps across the table and gathers inside a cup. Her eyes narrow. An imae? The black mass twists and writhes like a tiny living shadow. Before Yuyan can react, Li Jian calmly reaches over and grabs the cup, clack. He sets it down casually while leaning closer to her. His eyes sharpen slightly, it seems I made you feel a bit awkward. You remind me of someone that I'm looking for. The prince tilts his head with a polite smile that feels suspiciously observant. Did I make you uncomfortable? Li Jian casually rests his hand over the cup, and suddenly the thing glows with a cold blue light as the shadowy imae inside slithers and writhes under his touch. Yuyan watches in stunned silence while he calmly handles the supernatural mess like he's stirring tea. When he asks if she's uncomfortable, she quickly answers, no, I'm fine, but her wide golden eyes say the opposite. Li Jian's hand hovers over the cup as the blue energy glows, the strange presence inside the drink twisting and slithering beneath his palm. Yuyan quickly insists, "No, I'm fine," but her wide golden eyes betray her shock as he casually handles the supernatural disturbance like it's part of table etiquette. He simply smiles and replies smoothly, "Well, I'm glad you're all right." She stares at the now quiet cup, her mind racing. There was definitely something strange in that drink. The eerie presence is gone, vanished without a trace. Her thoughts jump to the obvious conclusion: did Li Jian get rid of it? Meanwhile, completely unfazed, he gestures politely and calls for a servant. There was a bug inside this cup. Please bring a new one. A servant leans and whispers something. Li Jian listens with a suddenly serious expression. The moment the message lands, he turns back toward the distance, his attention sharpening. Outside the pavilion, Li Te gives a polite BOW, smiling faintly. Yuyan recognizes him instantly. That's the man who spoke strangely to me before. Li Jian rises from his seat, apologizing smoothly. I apologize, but we'll have to end our meeting here. Yuyan watches the man in the distance curiously, wondering, I wonder what he does. But before leaving, Li Jian suddenly leans toward Yuyan, and Ms. Zhou, he says quietly, bringing his face close enough to make the moment tense. Are you sure you don't know me? He plants one hand beside her chair and leans closer, studying her face. Of course I know you. You're the crown prince, she answers calmly. He smiles slightly and presses further. When did you first see me? She replies, on the news. His gaze sharpens. What about in person? She hesitates before answering, at the Pajir Research Center. A drop of sweat forms as she thinks nervously, what exactly does he want from me? Li Jian watches her carefully while her thoughts swirl. Strange, there's definitely something more to this. But I can't. But when she tries to search her memory, the fragments are foggy, blurred like a damaged film reel. Images flicker in her mind, faded scenes, hazy moments, but none of them fully surface. She exhales shakily, I can't remember. Li Jian leans close again, his voice dropping to a quiet whisper beside her ear. I'm interested in you, Ms. Zhou. She flinches as his breath brushes past her ear, the proximity suddenly overwhelming. Across the table, Ciola freezes mid-bite, watching the scene unfold in pure disbelief. Meanwhile Li Jian's gaze lingers on Zhou with quiet intensity. I'm very curious about you, he murmurs. Then he adds with a faint smile, much more than Miss Choi. Much, much more. She just stares at him, stunned, realizing the prince's attention has shifted entirely to her. Li Jian politely excuses himself with perfect royal manners. Please excuse me, and please enjoy the refreshments before you leave. Then he turns and walks away with calm, measured footsteps, leaving the two women sitting in a silence thick enough to cut with a knife. The second he's gone, stab. Ciola slams her fork dramatically into the plate in outrage. Why don't you just become the crown princess? Then she points the fork accusingly at Yuyan. Why didn't you tell me that you also received a fiancé letter? Yuyan answers flatly, I deleted it as soon as I received it. Ciola squints suspiciously, clearly not buying it for a second. You think I'm going to believe that? She snaps before exploding into full jealous meltdown mode. What am I, a third wheel? Why do you two keep whispering to each other? Am I even here? I've never been treated like this before in my life. This hurts my pride, it's so annoying. If you're so gifted, you should be the crown princess. You're supposed to help me, but you flirted with the prince. Are you really here to help me? Yuyan finally cuts her off sharply. That's enough, Choi Ciola. We're in Gyeongbok Palace. Read the room. You're being watched right now, including everything you're saying. You're younger than me. If you keep talking to me like that, you'll look very rude, like a fool. Seola's face immediately turns blush red with embarrassment. She slumps back in defeat. You should have stopped me earlier if you knew that. Yuyun sighs and ends the argument. That's enough now. We underestimated the royal family. She rubs her temple and admits, there's nothing I can do to cover up your attitude right now. Yuyun stands up abruptly. I'll talk to Mr. Choi about this. Right then, palace attendants approach and bow politely. We will show you the way outside. As Seola walks away, she shivers slightly, suddenly aware of the palace's invisible eyes. They were really watching me, she thinks, panic creeping in. Her inner voice spirals, ah. What am I going to do now? Elsewhere in the palace, a man spreads art plans across a table and smiles faintly. Looks like it was worth spending all those emails for a year. I finally got to meet you. I am the head of the Royal Treasure Archive, active overseas. My name is Li Tae. Let me say this again, but I'd like to hold an exhibition within Gyeongbok Palace. Crown Prince Li Jian replies, I hear that your work focuses on places where souls wander. Li Tae asks casually. Yes, and I have other work too. Would you like to see them? Li Jian studies the pages in silence, thinking to himself that the art brochure is just a printed copy, meaning the manwha can't hide in here, so it's safe. Li Jian gives a quiet nod as he flips through the brochure, studying the images of palace architecture and exhibits. His verdict is simple and calm, amazing. However, Gyeongbok Palace has never approved of an exhibition within the palace. Li Tae immediately counters with a clever alternative, then, how about an exhibition along the edge of the Gyeonghwa Pavilion Lake? Li Tae explains the strategy smoothly. People won't have to enter the palace itself. The exhibition could sit outside the main palace grounds while still accepting guests. Li Jian considers this carefully. I suppose the Gyeonghwa Pavilion is within the palace too. I'll get back to you about the exhibition within this month. Li Tae smiles brightly. I'll be waiting for your reply. In any case, the palace is beautiful. Then he adds almost nostalgically, it's just like my father told me. That comment immediately catches Li Jian's attention. Li Jian responds slowly, probing deeper. Your father must have worked in the palace then. Li Tae nods lightly. I heard that he did something like that. Li Jian gives him a quiet, assessing glance, clearly analyzing the man sitting across from him. Meanwhile, Li Tae simply sits there smiling politely, looking far too comfortable. Li Tae bows his head slightly and says with courtesy, I am truly honored to meet you, Your Highness. But as Li Jian watches him, an uneasy thought creeps in, he's oddly disturbing. A ghost stone clicks onto the board with a sharp clack, as the king calmly recounts what he witnessed earlier. I didn't think Jian would suddenly hold a royal audition. I saw the two ladies while passing by. They were both quite dazzling. The king's aide states, one is Choi Seola, the daughter of Director Choi. The other is Jo Yuyun, an employee of Seowa Pharmaceuticals. Two elegant women stroll past in his memory, and the king muses, so, they're both with Director Choi. But something about the red-haired woman lingers in his mind. Moreover, her face, the king studies the memory more carefully, eyes narrowing in thoughtful suspicion. I feel like I've seen her somewhere. The thought gnaws at him as the name forms slowly in his mind, Jo Yuyun. He finally breaks the silence and calls out, Mr. Cha. Mr. Cha looks up calmly. The king gets straight to the point, do you think two people can have the sacred eye? Mr. Cha considers the possibility without panicking. I don't think it's impossible, but there might be a difference between them. Why don't we trust His Highness and wait for now? The king nods, but his expression hardens slightly. Of course, I trust him, but I can't always rely on Jian to do everything. I wish to raise the honor of the Gyeongbok Palace of my generation, before Jian takes over. I don't want to interfere in my son's marriage, but I need you to investigate Zhou Yuyun and report to me. Back in the palace pavilion, Jian kneels respectfully before the king. You called me? The king nods. I had something to ask you about the guests today. Does one of them have the sacred eye? Jian thinks carefully. If so, what will you do if the woman with the sacred eye doesn't want to get married? Times have changed. Nothing can be done against someone who refuses. The king reasons with a knowing tone, but there are things that can only be done after marriage. I hope you won't follow in the footsteps of your father's mistakes. Jian's expression tightens before he asks quietly, Do you regret choosing my mother? The king answers immediately. I don't regret loving your mother. I thought that I absolutely had to marry a woman with the sacred eye. In the flashback, a terrified woman hides her face, blood and chaos surrounding her. The king confesses the final truth. That's why I made up my mind to marry your mother, and tricked everyone. I was afraid that I would lose your mother. His voice carries the weight of both love and guilt. Jian stands abruptly. Calm but resolute, he declares, I can take care of my own marriage. I plan to marry a woman who has the sacred eye, no matter who she is. But only if she really has it. The king jolts upright. What? Jian clarifies without hesitation, I'm saying that I'll marry someone who really has the eye, not a fake. Then, as if he didn't just drop a bomb in the royal conversation, he bows politely. I have to receive a report from the chief secretary. Please excuse me. Jian walks away from the pavilion, his calm silhouette in the foreground while the king sits behind him with a quiet ha, clearly not sure whether to admire his son's confidence or worry about it. A moment later, Jian descends the palace stairs with smooth, unbothered strides like a man who just casually detonated a royal conversation and left. Chief Li rushes after him. The government officials seemed very interested. Apparently the interrogation was intense, because Chief Li's imagination replays the chaos. Who is this lady named Zhou Yuyun? Does she have the sacred eye? Does His Highness like her? The poor man looks utterly exhausted. I don't know. He had so many questions. Jian glances over calmly. Really? Did the candidates leave? Chief Li confirms, yes, they left safely. But I don't think Ms. Zhou is going to reply to the fiancé letter. He hands Jian the document as they walk through the golden sunset courtyard. Jian glances down at it thoughtfully. Li Tai's exhibition plan. Then Jian looks toward the sky, already calculating his next move. Then we'll have to leave her with no other choice. His lips curl into a faint, mischievous smile. The game has to be fair, after all. Which, coming from him, sounds suspiciously like the calm announcement of an incoming strategic ambush. Meanwhile, Jian reflects on Choi Seola's earlier behavior, Choi Seola's habit of disrespecting her elders. A montage flashes through his mind, Seola complaining dramatically, whining about being hurt, and snapping, "Why don't you just become the crown princess?" Clearly, this attitude wasn't a one-time slip. Must have developed over time. Jian considers the possibilities with almost clinical calm. Zhou Yuyun may be a Cinderella. Or she may need to be reported to the labor office. I suppose we'll have to wait and see. Elsewhere, bang bang bang. Someone pounds furiously on a door. President Choi shouts desperately, "Seola." His voice cracks as he pleads, "Come on, my princess, don't just keep crying. Talk to me." Inside, Seola wails dramatically, "Wah. Whatever." I don't want to be the princess. Yu-yun comes up behind. The moment President Choi notices her presence, he instantly swings his arm. Slap. Jo Yu-yun's head snaps to the side as pain rings through her senses, buzz, sting, throb. President Choi shouts furiously, "What did you do? Did you humiliate her in front of the prince? You dare treat my Seola like your subordinate just because you have that bizarre eye?" Jo Yu-yun wipes the blood from her lip, stunned but defiant. Then, with biting sarcasm, she mutters the most dangerous sentence possible in that moment. "Did you just slap me? What did I do wrong? She's the one who wasted her opportunity." He bellows, absolutely convinced the universe should obviously agree with him. He doubles down immediately, there's no way she would do that. She's a smart girl. You even let the fiancé leave be because you wanted to get his attention. You ungrateful child. Inside her head, Jo Yu-yun already knows arguing is pointless. There's no reason for me to explain if he's not going to believe me anyway. So instead of defending herself, she calmly delivers the verbal equivalent of dropping a mic, "I quit." The room falls into a stunned silence. Fooling the royal family was never going to work in the first place. Then he threatens. "You think you can become the princess, then? If you want to marry into the royal family, go ahead. You'll need a new family anyway, since your mother will die without the medication. You're a manager at your age, and everyone at the company treats you like one of us. Yet you betray us like this instead of appreciating our generosity?" Jo Yu-yun stands quietly and answers with quiet dignity, "I did my part as best as I could." Inside, her thoughts are softer. I am grateful that he took me in because I was his friend's daughter. He saved me, and I am truly grateful for that. But that gratitude can't fix everything. She looks up at him with tired honesty. "I don't know anymore." Her eyes waver as the truth slips out. "I wonder if he really took me in just because he pitied me." Before the moment can spiral further, chaos erupts in the hallway. Someone shouts, "Oh no, Mr. Choi. Please, calm down." And a worried voice whispers, "Geez, he's really going to get violent this time." Several employees rush in and grab him before things escalate further. Meanwhile, a woman urgently pulls Jo Yu-yun aside. "Come on, Yu-yun. Beg and apologize right now." But Jo Yu-yun barely hears her, staring at her own hand in confusion and pain. "What did I do wrong?" The doubt creeps deeper as the crowd restrains Mr. Choi in the background. She wonders bitterly. The thought twists further. Am I just mooching off this family? Am I wrong because I didn't beg for forgiveness despite my wrongs here? Her eyes glisten, the weight of years of obligation pressing down all at once. Suddenly, a voice cuts through the tense hallway. "What's the fuss about?" Jo Yu-yun turns mid-step, startled, her golden eyes widening slightly as she looks toward the newcomer. Her gaze lifts, and freezes. Those unmistakable golden eyes sharpen with recognition and surprise at the same time. With casual composure he greets the man who just caused the storm, "You're back, Junel?" The reply comes politely, "Yes, father." The household staff brighten instantly. "Oh, the young master is back. This is a relief, Yu-yun." Mr. Choi asks, "You're already back from your business trip?" But Jo Yu-yun barely hears them, her golden eyes widen in a sudden jolt of shock as she avoids Junel. "Father, did you hit Yu-yun?" he asks, voice cold. Without waiting for an answer, he steps past them with a curt "Excuse me." Yu-yun bolts away. His expression hardened. "What happened? Why did you slap her like that?" Suddenly, shriek. Seola bursts into the scene, tears streaming down her face as she screams dramatically, "Everyone only cares about her. Everyone at Gyeongbok Palace only likes her. She storms out of the room with a furious slam, leaving emotional chaos in her wake. Junil questions his father furiously, "What is this about? Gyeongbok Palace? Father, did you?" Meanwhile, Yuyin sits quietly while the housemaid presses an ice pack against her cheek. Ack! Ow, she mutters softly as the cold hits the bruise. The housemaid scolds her gently, "You have to hold back, Yuyin. You can't argue back like that." She sighs faintly. "I know," the maid hesitates, clearly worried. "But what are you going to do now?" "I heard Mr. Choi talking on the phone. He was ordering to have your mother taken out of the clinic." Zhou Yuyin's eyes widened. "Already?" The housekeeper nods grimly. "Yes. All you have to do is apologize." Yuyin walks away. Behind her, the housemaid watches helplessly and sighs, "Oh, what a pitiful girl." Her phone begins ringing. The screen reads, "Nurse." Yuyin answers immediately. "I was just about to call you, Yuyin. I was told that Mrs. Park Hyerin will be moved to the general ward. Is that really all right?" "Wait, hold on. I'm talking to the patient's guardian right now," the nurse says amid the background chatter. Zhou Yuyin staggers slightly from the sudden turn of events. "Hey, just wait a moment," someone calls out nearby. Feeling helpless, Yuyin tells the nurse, "Ma'am, just let them move her for now. I'll call you back in a bit. There's something I need to take care of." Zhou Yuyin exhales quietly, tension still written across her face. The nurse's voice continues through the phone, "All right. It's fine to move your mother to the general ward, but she needs to continue her treatment as well. I'll be waiting for your call." Yuyin looks up at the evening sky and answers softly, "All right," though the weight of everything she's carrying clearly isn't going anywhere. Just as Yuyin lowers her phone and tries to steady herself, a voice calls out behind her, "Zhou Yuyin." She turns, and down the courtyard steps stands Seola, composed but tense. Without preamble, Seola states the obvious, "We need to talk." Seola bows suddenly, head lowered in dramatic apology. "I'm sorry, I was too emotional. I didn't think father would slap you like that. And I heard you on the phone. I'll take care of the hospital issues." Zhou Yuyin jolts in shock, "What are you talking about? Why would you do that?" Seola suddenly grabs Zhou Yuyin's sleeve with desperate intensity. Her voice drops into pleading urgency. "You know my father does whatever I ask him to. But, in return, you have to help me become the prince's fiancé. I fell in love with him at first sight. You'll help me, right?" she pleads, practically sparkling with delusional determination. Yuyin exhales a weary sigh and shuts it down calmly. "I understand, but that's beyond my abilities." Yuyin turns away with another tired sigh, trying to disengage. But Seola leans in again, refusing to give up. "You should send your fiancé letter too. There will be a royal audition. If you don't join, there will be other people anyway, so it's better for me if you join and help me." Seola's desperation explodes into full melodrama. She clings to Yuyin and wails, "Come on, help make me the princess." Yuyin struggles to pry her off, "Are you crazy? Let go of me." But Seola just sobs louder, eyes sparkling with ridiculous determination. "I really, really, really like him. I want to be the crown princess." Yuyin stands there, completely petrified, seriously. In the hospital, Yuyin looks down at her unconscious mother lying beneath tubes and oxygen. The machines hum quietly while a thought weighs heavily in her mind. She's been sleeping every day for 15 years, even though her organs are all fine. The doctors never found the cause. No one knows exactly what's wrong. Yuyin squeezes her mother's hand gently as if trying to transfer her determination through that small touch. Sitting beside the bed, she stares down at her mother with tired resolve. Even so, I can't give up on her. Her fingers twitch suddenly as though her emotions are spilling out physically. She leans closer, searching her mother's silent face for even the smallest sign of life. Yuyin looks between her mother's still face and her own trembling hands. Finally she whispers to herself, "Wait just a bit longer, Mom. I'll save you." Cut to another room where someone else lies in bed, Choi Seola, while a voice nudges her awake. "Wake up, Choi Seola." Seola groans groggily. Ugh, as Yuyin approaches the bed calmly, she drops a sentence like a bomb, "I'll help you move into Gyeongbok Palace." Seola's eyes snap wide open. What? Really? Seola practically launches herself upright as Yuyin lifts a tablet toward her. Check this first. Seola snatches it eagerly, hearts practically flying around her head. Of course, anything. So what's this about? But the moment she looks at the screen, her excitement shifts into confusion. What is this? Yuyin answers calmly, completely unfazed. You're signing a contract with me. I'm the only one who has something to lose from this deal, so I want to be clear. On the tablet appears the formal document outlining the agreement. The contract terms appear one by one. The purpose of this deal is to guarantee the right to treatment, the right to survival, and the complete recovery of Park Hyerin. Choi Seola will not speak informally to Jo Yuyin. Jo Hyun will score below Choi Seola at the royal audition, responsible for the royal family's final decision. Choi Seola will receive treatment for her hands. Choi Seola will obediently listen to Jo Yuyin until the contract ends. Seola hesitates, frowning. Isn't number 3 kind of irresponsible? Jo Yuyin responds bluntly, that's my limit. There's no way I can change the royal family's decision. If I agree to that, I'll become a liar. I could become a criminal because of you, yet you can't even agree to my conditions? Seola bites her lip anxiously. But, Yuyin stands, already slinging her bag over her shoulder. I have to go to work. Give it back to me if you don't want this. Seeing her chance slipping away, Seola quickly panics. Wait. I'll do it. Yuyin pauses, glancing back with a knowing little smirk. Do you like him that much? Seola buzzes with gossip, yes. Even joined his fan club yesterday. The prince is so, Yuyin ignores the chatter completely and tosses one last instruction over her shoulder, go back to sleep. Yuyin strides down the street toward work. At the gate, a sleek car waits, and so does Mr. Choi. She greets him calmly, greetings, Mr. Choi. He cuts straight to the point with icy authority, you're no longer working with Junul. Starting tomorrow, you're taking my car. Yuyin barely reacts. In fact, she almost seems relieved. I actually prefer that, she thinks, brushing past the tension with a quiet rustle. Out loud, she replies politely, yes, understood. By the way, I have something to report regarding Seola. Mr. Choi narrows his eyes thoughtfully. Tisk, he gestures toward the car. Sit next to me. Yuyin approaches the vehicle, she reflects internally, I did discuss this with Seola, but Mr. Choi has the final say. I'll have to persuade him somehow. The car glides forward. Mr. Choi sits rigidly with his arms folded while Yuyin holds the tablet containing the contract. She explains carefully, Seola knows that I have the upper hand here. She knows that everything is over if I choose to quit. For a moment, the car falls into stunned silence. Then Mr. Choi snaps toward her, eyes blazing. What? His face twists with barely contained rage. His jaw tightens, veins standing out as he growls the only words he can manage. How dare you? Yuyan states, I will become an accomplice in this fraud. In return, please guarantee my mother's right to treatment and transfer the right as her guardian to me. Seola already agreed. But you have the final say in this matter. Mr. Choi leans back, hand covering his mouth in thought. For a moment, the rage settles into calculation. His eyes slide sideways and a sly smile creeps across his face. Of course. I won't stop her treatment. I'll make sure the hospital staff get punished for this. How dare they do that to your mother? He continues grumbling loudly into the phone while Jo Yeon sits beside him in quiet silence. Mr. Choi taps and signs the agreement. Eventually Mr. Choi lowers the tablet toward her. There are people who can help Seola at Gyeongbok Palace, he says, tone smoothing out as if nothing explosive just happened. You don't need to worry about this. Then under his breath he mutters bitterly, how dare they hold an audition and humiliate me. What Prince Jian said the other day replays in her mind. I'm very curious about you. Much more than Miss Choi. Much, much more. Yuyin clenches her fist but her expression stays composed and reminds herself. Don't be fooled, she reminds herself. Because from now on, I'm going to be scamming the scam king. Later at her office desk, Yuyin taps out an email reply. Your email has been sent. She exhales slightly and thinks, I should get a reply about the fiancé letter in about a week. Then she remembers the real reason she's doing this. My mother was moved back to her room and is receiving treatment again. Her cheek throbs faintly. I think the inside of my mouth is injured, she mutters to herself. Suddenly, ding! An email notification pops up. She stares at the inbox in disbelief. I already got a reply? Yuyin clicks the message open, brows knitting together. The email is suspiciously short. When shall we meet? She leans back in her chair, baffled. Is someone playing a prank on me? Did I send the email to the wrong address? But the moment she rereads the message, realization hits. In her mind appears the image of a certain prince lounging among flowers, wine glass in hand, wearing a smug little smirk, teasing. But I think I know who sent this. She sighs internally. It would be rude if I didn't answer the right way. Then, decision made. Press. She closes the email. All right then. I won't reply. Right at that moment, a coworker pops up from behind her monitor. Ms. Jo, the meeting is about to start. Yuyin blinks. Oh, right. She grabs her tablet and stands. I have to go to a meeting. That's why I can't reply to him. Meanwhile elsewhere, the prince stares at his phone with a slight frown. She's probably ignoring you, Your Highness. Did you really just check your email as soon as you woke up? Chief Lee Woo-hyuk remarks. The prince shrugs from the bed, phone still in hand. I just got a new email, that's why. Chief Lee. You never check your inbox even if you have more than 30 unread emails. The prince glances down at the phone again, unimpressed. Do I need to reply to spam? The prince lounges on his bed in an indecently open robe while Chief Lee nearly combusts with embarrassment. Could you please wear proper clothes when you sleep? He pleads, glasses practically cracking from the stress. The prince blinks lazily. What's the problem? Chief sputters, you walk around the East Palace looking like that. The prince shrugs like it's completely normal. Please, have some decency. That's why your picture is all over the internet. The prince perked up petrified, he doesn't get it, but he's freaked out. What? Chief Lee lectures, do you know how difficult it is to request for photos to be deleted? The prince stands up and orders, "Whatever, find out why Zhou Yuyan is ignoring my email." The prince casually opens his wardrobe, robe sliding down his shoulder in a way that absolutely does not help the aide's blood pressure as Chief Li muses, she's too busy to reply. Or maybe she doesn't want to reply. There's no need to investigate that. The prince pulls the robe off his shoulder, revealing his bare back as he continues changing. So she's busy, he decides. Then immediately Chief Li contradicts with equal confidence, or she may not be. The prince leans out through the doorway, "Li Wuhyuk, do you have a problem with me?" Chief Li replies flatly, "No, Your Highness." The prince interrogates, "Then why do I feel like you're picking on me?" The poor aide panics and blurts out random work advice instead, "You should allow us to have a team dinner. Everyone's going to be busy because of the audition. And, put some clothes on." The prince adjusts his suit calmly and asks with a faint smile, "Will I be invited too?" Chief Li shuts him down instantly. "I apologize, but no." The prince blinks. "Why not?" Chief Li answers bluntly, "Because people will think you're clueless." The prince turns away with an indifferent shrug. "Do whatever you want." A man walks past his residence. The prince thinks aloud, "Li Te, was it? He comes here every day." His gaze drifts outside toward the palace grounds. Chief Li nearby comments, "Looks like he's going to keep visiting until the exhibition is approved." The prince nods thoughtfully. "Since when were tourists allowed to enter my residence? Is my private life also for exhibition?" Chief Li suddenly turns pale as if he's realized something terrible. "I'll be right back," he blurts before sprinting off. The prince remains standing there looking faintly puzzled. The prince glances down at his phone again. So she's ignoring me. The realization seems to amuse him more than anything else. "I never expected to be completely ignored like this," he thinks with a slow smirk forming. "Especially not by someone who looks like my fans love." Elsewhere at the office, Yuyan sighs at her desk, thinking, "Teaching Director Choi's new secretary is tougher than I thought. Why am I so busy today?" Her computer dings with a message. It's her friend Minju, "I got my wedding invitations printed. Wanna grab a beer tonight?" Yuyan texts back while typing at work, "Just the two of us?" Minju replies immediately, "No, with everyone." "Are you busy today too, Ms. Zhou?" Yuyan smiles faintly. "I can go for one beer." Yuyan sighs softly. "Only one more hour until I'm done with work." Suddenly, slam. Something lands hard on her desk. Yuyan turns around. Her expression immediately tightens into a frown. Why can't this jerk learn how to separate work from his private life? Standing behind her desk like a human thundercloud is Junul. Junul looms over Zhou Yuyan's. She glances up and thinks dryly, "I've been so uncomfortable here because he blatantly favors me at work." Out loud, he drops the command, "Clear your schedule for the evening." Before she can protest, he leans over her desk with a confident smirk. "We're going somewhere together." Yuyan blinks and answers politely, "I'm sorry, but I already have plans after work. I'll write up a backup plan if you inform me of." He orders bluntly, "Cancel it if it's a personal appointment." Around the office, coworkers immediately start whispering. The gossip machine activates at full speed while she sits there glowing red with embarrassment. After a moment she sighs quietly, fists clenching. "All right." Junul's lips curl into a satisfied smirk. "Of course you will." He turns and walks away, leaving the office eerily silent except for the faint clack of keyboards. Immediately, the co-workers lean in like detectives. "What happened?" Director Choi called her here so suddenly. Yuyin simply smiles brightly and says, there must be a problem with one of our clients. I should get a hangover drink ready. She grabs the thing Junil puts on her desk and mutters to herself, what on earth is his problem? I know there aren't any more official meetings today. Panic creeps in, who knows what he might do if we're alone. She raises her phone quickly. I need an excuse to turn him down. She types a message. Are you free today? Then she stares at the screen anxiously while the message sends. Come on, please. Time crawls by, tick-tock. Yuyin stares at her phone nervously. Wait, is he ignoring me? She forces a strained smile when the notification reads, no email. She exhales and stands up. Well, I've never relied on other people's help anyway. Slinging her bag over her shoulder, she marches toward the exit. I can take care of this on my own. Decision made, I'll go with plan B. In the parking garage, Junil is already waiting in the car. The window lowers with a soft whir. He simply says, get in. Yuyin bends toward the window and refuses politely. If this is for a personal issue, I still have to refuse. Junil raises an eyebrow. Do I have to force you to get in? You must want people to pay attention about you. Yuyin immediately snaps back, annoyed. Who likes that kind of? Junil replies flatly, Seola likes it. She freezes and thinks for a moment. In her imagination, Seola literally sparkles with hearts yelling I love attention. Finally she climbs into the car seat. Buckling up with visible irritation, she sighs. Okay, now tell me where we're going. She clicks her seatbelt, still glaring forward. Just tell me already, geez. The car engine hums to life, vroom. Toward whatever mysterious plan Junil has in mind next. A car sits trapped in traffic, horns blaring while inside. Yuyin calmly scrolls on her phone like the chaos outside is just background music. Then her expression freezes when he tells her, you should move out. Don't live in that house anymore. She lets out a soft, amused pft. I was going to move out even if you didn't tell me to. You can drop me off over there. But the driver immediately shuts that idea down. I would kidnap you if I could. The crown princess? The royal audition? His eyes narrow dangerously as he shoots her a hard glare, incredulous that she wants to participate in the crown princess audition. Are you crazy? He demands. When she realizes he isn't stopping the car, she asks, so, you're not going to drop me off? His answer is blunt. Go to the house I bought. After all, your stuff isn't at home anyway because I moved everything. Her thoughts drift backward to the past, Choi Junil, and the memory feels heavy. After her father died in an accident when she was just 14, he quietly told her, tell me if that happens again. If someone tries to bully you, I'll save you. Back then I lost my parents. She sits crying, sniffling into her sleeve, admitting to herself that she had nothing and nobody to rely on. And yet, he was the one person who appeared when she needed him most. Sitting together in school uniforms, she teases him lightly, you're like a prince in shining armor, you know. He blushes in excitement, what? Well, I can be if I have to. I'll be a prince just for you. Her face lights up with a radiant smile as she admits the truth, he was her first love, the one she devoted her youth to. But the next thought crashes down cold, their love was cruelly trampled on. The memory fades as the present returns to the tense silence of the car. I'm so sick of this relationship now. She suddenly makes a call with professional composure. Hello, I'm Jo Yuyin, the manager of the manwha Pharmaceuticals secretary. Junil smirks, what, are you going to report that you're being kidnapped? When asked if Miss Seo Yun is present, the reply comes, yes, she just arrived by herself. What about her partner? Yu Yun casually answers, her fiancé is on his way right now. She smoothly continues the conversation, explaining the fiancé may be late due to traffic and asking a favor. Could they buy something for the event? Of course, anything for our guests, they reply, asking how long they have. About 20 minutes, she says coolly, while Junil frowns suspiciously. What do you think you're doing, Jo Yuyin? Completely unfazed, she explains the plan. It's the birthday of Ms. Seo's dog, or wrong. Ms. Seo celebrates her dog's birthday every year. You should remember as her fiancé. Pick up a gift box and bouquet from Le Canard in Cheongdam. The gift box should contain dog treats and a gift for Ms. Seo. If asked where it came from, just say it's a secret. Junil finally snaps, his expression twisting with pure rage. Are you seriously going to keep this up? But she only smiles with a sly smirk, delivering the final jab. I hope you'll be happy with your fiancé. But don't get me involved if you treat me like a mistress one more time. I'm going to meet with Miss Seo's father. And I'll throw up in front of him. Her patience snaps. Slam! Her fist crashes the door as she shouts, so, stop the car, now. The tension inside the vehicle explodes while outside the traffic keeps blaring honk honk. Moments later she stands alone on the sidewalk beside the stopped car, the evening lights glowing softly around her. She heaves a sigh of relief. Holding the phone to her ear, she strides through the city streets and asks, Hey, Minju, you're in Hongdae now, right? She casually explains she's late because I had to sort some garbage, promising she'll be there soon. Soon she arrives at a lively bar where glasses clink and fries crunch under the cheerful chatter. Someone jokes, wow, how long has it been since we pranked with Yuyin? Another teases that it was difficult meeting up with her thanks to a certain someone. Under the glowing moonlight sign, she sighs while a friend laughs. No wonder you said your friends are all pretty, Minju. Determined to drown the awkwardness, someone declares dramatically, I'll be buying all the drinks, drink as much as you want. Inside, she quietly observes the scene, sweat dropping down her temple as realization hits. This totally feels like a blind date. She immediately thinks, I'm not comfortable here, and admits to herself, this isn't what I expected. Across to the next table, Chief Lee, looking disheveled, with a tie around his head, turns with confusion flickering across his face. Their eyes meet, both blinking with identical question marks, until the moment erupts with mutual shock. Huh? She suddenly turns her head sharply as a dreadful thought hits. Why is he here? Chief Lee pauses mid-step and stares straight at her, leaving her internally panicking. And why is he staring at me like that? The pressure becomes unbearable. Still covering her face, she abruptly rises as she blurts out, I need to go to the bathroom. Her friends look confused as she makes a swift escape. Outside, laughter from inside the bar echoes mockingly, ha 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 and hee hee, as she slumps against a wall in defeat. The night air cools her face while she mutters weakly, I'm tired. Her phone buzzes ding. She lifts it and reads the message, I'm free today. She blinks in confusion, now, wondering who even sends emails this late at night. With a tired sigh she decides, I'm not replying to that. I don't have anything to say. And I don't reply to emails outside of work. A voice suddenly interrupts her. A man in a cap steps closer, coolly pointing out, so, you really ignored me on purpose. And you're even on a blind date when you could be the future queen. She greets him stiffly, hello your highness. He stops right in front of her and greets mockingly, yes, hello, Miss Jo. Then he leans closer, pressing the issue, so, tell me. I'm very upset right now. Is that wrong of me? Their faces draw dangerously close as she tries to explain, flustered, I didn't ignore you on purpose, but I don't reply to emails outside of business hours. Nervous sweat forms as she quickly adds, as for the blind date, I enjoy this kind of thing. Meeting people, that is. Will this negatively affect my audition? He laughs, amused by her worry. You're asking as if you hope that's true. She reasons, please don't misunderstand. I only said that because it's better to be honest. Nearby onlookers whisper excitedly, realizing this must be Wow. Isn't that the crown prince? It's Li Jian. He suddenly blocks her path, leaning against the wall over her shoulder and calls quietly, Ms. Zhou Yuyan. With a sly smile he warns that I could put you in a very complicated position right now, or let you go without a problem. Aren't you curious about what I'm going to do? She exhales and chooses the safer route. Could you please choose the latter? I didn't ignore your email on purpose. I had a reason. He chuckles softly, leaning even closer. All right then. 7:50 p.m., this Friday. Come to Gyeongbok Palace. She hesitates, confused. Gyeongbok Palace? He assures her calmly it's part of the procedure, not an ulterior motive. But as he lifts her chin with his fingers, studying her face closely, he pauses mid-thought and murmurs with suspicion, but why is your mouth? The tension between them crackles in the night air. A frantic voice suddenly shouts, Your Highness. Chief Li comes rushing toward them, breathless and panicked. He blurts out, When did you get here? I was so surprised when I saw your left wing. Side note, left wing refers to the guards that protect the crown prince. But he pauses, gasps in total disbelief. The prince looks at Chief Li and casually remarks, You sure have great timing. Then flicks a card toward the poor Chief Li, ordering calmly, Pay for the bill. Chief Li scrambles to catch it in pure chaos. Oh yes, but what are you doing? Unbothered, the prince simply nods and adds, You don't need to know. Just go and pay. Another suited guard steps forward with a respectful posture. Chief Li orders, All right, left wing, accompany His Highness. But the prince immediately redirects him, No, you escort Ms. Zhou home. The guard pauses, then nods in understanding as the prince explains the logic. People already saw her with him, so sending her home alone would be uncomfortable. The guard will take her back to her guest house and protect her until she gets home. Meanwhile, Zhou Yuyan hears all of this and turns completely pale, clearly overwhelmed by the sudden royal-level logistics. Before she can protest, the prince casually reaches out and slips his cap onto her head, tugging the brim down over her face. With an easy smile he declares, This is my decision. Standing there stunned, she adjusts the cap with both hands, completely baffled. What is that supposed to mean? She wonders, still trying to process the strange gesture. Suddenly the street explodes with excitement, fans screaming Marry me, and Kaya, while phones flash everywhere. Flustered, she tells the guard awkwardly, I'm going home now, so you can head back. He politely asks if he should bring her belongings, but she quickly refuses, No, I'll go get them myself. Inside the bar her friend immediately holds on to her whining, Come on, let's hang out. Why are you leaving already? But Zhou Yuyan insists she has to go. The moment she escapes outside, she glances back nervously and panics, He's still here, then breaks into a full dash, clutching her bag as the guard continues following behind. She sprints straight toward a bus, hopping on with a quick Bye, Mr. Left Wing. The guard protests instantly, shouting from outside, I'm not left wing. My name is Jang Eun-ho. She waves hurriedly from the door, Right, Mr. Jang Eun-ho. Just before the bus pulls away, she tosses the cap back. The guard fumbles awkwardly as the vehicle roars off with a loud vroom, leaving him standing there holding the hat in stunned silence. Seconds later, the prince's car drives by. Sliding into the passenger seat. The prince asks, She went right away? What about her friends? Jang Eun-ho returns the cap to the prince, looks like she was there to get a wedding invitation. The prince quietly watches the bus through the window as it pulls away with Jo Yoon seated inside. She stares forward, unaware of his gaze. The prince runs the information in his mind. The Royal High School wasn't included, fiancé letter that Jo Yoon sent. Am I mistaken? As the scene slowly dissolves into a memory from years ago. The past unfolds. When he was in high school, he wandered into the art classroom after sensing something strange. The door opens, and there she is, Jo Yoon, standing quietly among the easels and paintings. His heart suddenly pounds, ba-dum. Ba-dum. Ba-dum, as he stares at her in stunned recognition. She turns slightly, noticing him, and murmurs a soft "oh," as their eyes meet for the first time. She greets him politely, "Hello." As he steps closer, she points at the painting, "Sunbae, I mean, Your Highness. Can you really get rid of these, Your Highness?" Even as he stands there silently, he thinks to himself that no matter how he analyzes the situation, he can't help but think she is that girl from back then. The flashback sharpens. 13 years ago, inside a bright classroom, a teacher announces with pride, "You got the top score again, Your Highness." Applause breaks out, clap clap clap, while the young prince stands there expressionless as. He mastered 7 languages by age 11 and started business classes at 13, so of course, he got the highest score since he was educated early. The teacher continues lecturing about the university entrance exams being less than half a year away and urges everyone, "Don't slack off and keep studying hard." The class obediently responds "Yes, sir," while the prince remains calm and distant, clearly already miles ahead of everyone academically. As the bell rings and chatter fills the room, the young chief Lee Woo-hyuk calls out, "Your Highness, are you going to the store?" He answers simply, "Yes," stepping out of the classroom. But suddenly a strange sensation hits him, throb, tingle, and he freezes mid-step. This feeling, he thinks, turning abruptly, while the young chief Lee casually asks behind him, "Are you going to buy a drink?" The prince follows the mysterious pull of that feeling through the halls. In his mind he describes it, a strange sensation he gets when other people's auras gather around paintings. He runs off as he orders Lee Woo-hyuk, "But buy me a drink if they don't have plum juice or peach jam." "But no apple, all right?" Woo-hyuk stands there questioning his existence. "Am I an errand boy?" He finally arrives, breathing hard, huff, outside the art room. Through the window he sees her, a red-haired girl standing quietly in front of an easel. His eyes land on the painting she's studying, and realization hits him like a thunderclap. That's the painting that won last year's art contest. The girl's hair shifts slightly as she gazes at it in silence. His heart pounds, ba-dum. She senses the movement, turning slowly from the painting to look toward him. She bows politely and greets him, "Hello." As he steps closer and asks what she's doing there, she quickly explains, "Oh, no." She points at the artwork and asks, "Sunbae. I mean, Your Highness, can you really destroy these things?" The painting sits between them in eerie silence, as if the canvas itself is holding its breath. There's nothing there. Eyes that can see things in paintings. Does she have the sacred eyes? When he hesitantly says, "You. Can you see that?" She simply tilts her head and answers, "You don't see it, Your Highness?" He replies calmly, "I can't see it until it comes out of the painting, but what's with you? How do you know so much? Our exorcism is supposed to be a secret." Then she freezes, feeling flustered. "What? Seeing her reaction, he wonders, did she not even know that it was a secret? He presses further, footsteps echoing, until she falters under his gaze. When he asks who are you, she stammers nervously, I'm Oh Euron." He immediately turns toward the painting and knows that's a lie. That was the name on the painting, the painter. Suddenly the school bell rings, ding dong, and she seizes the opportunity like a professional escape artist. Oh, I have to go. She bolts out of the art room before he can stop her. The prince glances back at the cursed painting and murmurs thoughtfully, "The painting," before deciding, "I guess I'll leave for now. I might meet that girl again." Outside, the school bell continues ringing as students pour out, while the prince steps through the crowd. But something sinister slithers unseen through the air, trailing dark energy from the art room behind him. Mid-step, he suddenly freezes. Turn. That same strange sensation returns, this feeling, the aura around the painting surging again. The energy spikes violently, throb, pulse, and the prince's eyes widened in shock. Crash! Something explodes. It's too late! From the shattered canvas erupts a monstrous spirit, Shatter. Whoosh, a grotesque creature tearing free from the painting with clawed limbs and burning eyes. A guard calls out in alarm, "Your Highness. Is something wrong?" But the prince suddenly dashes forward, realizing the terrible mistake. Damn it! I shouldn't have left it there. He sprints chasing after the energy, another crash echoes, the dark aura spreading. The prince's eyes blazing, already preparing to face the disaster he knows is unfolding. He freezes, thump, as the memory slams back into him. Smoke, wreckage, and terrified screams fill the scene while the same girl clutches a wounded man and cries, "Mom. Dad. No, no." The prince stares in horror, realizing too late what his mistake unleashed. The monstrous spirit crouches over the wreckage with a guttural growl, its claws gripping the twisted car. In a bitter inner confession, the prince admits it was his arrogant decision that allowed the disaster to happen, the moment that girl lost her family and was dragged through hell. The memory dissolves back into the present. Inside the car, he watches Zhou Yuyan through the bus window again as it prepares to leave. He reflects quietly, "I had to leave school for safety reasons, and despite searching for years, I could never find that girl again, even after 10 years. After that, I finally managed to take over the RSA within just 5 years. I have the power to protect you. So, keep hiding all you want. In the end, I'll find you." Meanwhile somewhere else, Ciola stares down at her phone with trembling hands, tremble. On the screen is a photo of the prince and Zhou Yuyan standing close together, captioned, "Shot of His Highness and Crown Princess candidate together. He put his cap on her, OMG." The comments explode with gossip and jealousy, people swooning over the prince's face, speculating about the mystery girl, and even joking that they'd step over dead bodies to be the crown princess. Ciola's eyes blaze with fury as she shouts at the screen, "Zhou Yuyan, why are you?" Her thoughts spiral viciously as she gnaws on her finger. When did she start seeing the prince in public? What's going on between them? Why are they meeting privately? Zhou Yuyan was supposed to help her become the princess. Now everything feels like a betrayal. A man grabs her hand and demands shakily, "Ciola. Do you really have to become the crown princess? What about us?" Confused, she asks, "Huh? What are you talking about?" The man's thoughts slip out, "I thought we were going to get married." "I mean, we love each other." Ciola explodes in fury, slap. Her boyfriend recoils on the bed as she shrieks, "Are you crazy? Don't get cocky. Since when were we in love? We just slept together. Don't try to drag me down and get lost. Don't try to see me until the next recital." The man falls off the bed embarrassingly. Meanwhile, the drama spreads to the national stage. On a news broadcast, reporters discuss the viral photo of the prince and Zhou Yuyan. One analyst asks whether the witnesses who saw the prince are telling the truth, while another calmly confirms His Highness seemed concerned the moment the news broke. The broadcast flashes the now famous image of the prince leaning close to Yuyan, noting that the witness statement accompanied this picture. A commentator explains that although the crown princess selection is ongoing, the scene between the prince and the candidate makes it look suspiciously like the winner has already been decided. Another panelist adds that royal auditions have often ended with a pre-selected candidate, just as they did in the past. The analyst declares that many people now believe the king may already have chosen the future queen in secret, just as he did when he married his own queen years ago. On a TV panel, commentators calmly debate the growing controversy. One analyst points out that Ms. Zhou Yuyan is just a regular citizen, yet the public is demanding her identity be revealed. Another argues back that some news outlets are already digging into her personal information, chasing clicks instead of respecting privacy. The narrator bluntly states that the candidate is a criminal who does not deserve to be a princess, while the news banner dramatically reads, Crown Prince Li Jian's royal audition and the secret princess candidate. The broadcast concludes harshly, nobody has the right or authority to expose her like this. Elsewhere, someone scrolls through a phone while the TV shows another woman's face. The report introduces Ms. Choi Siola, another crown princess candidate, explaining that the public has begun treating the royal audition like a game, comparing the women as if it were a competition. Social media explodes with posts praising Siola, beautiful photos, glowing captions, and comments calling her talented, smart, and the perfect partner for the prince. Meanwhile, the prince sits quietly, staring at his phone with a dumbfounded expression while reading those same posts. His aide reports that the royal court has already sent requests to communities and the press to protect Ms. Zhou's personal information, but the posts about Choi Siola are spreading everywhere. The prince lifts his head, unimpressed. His aide confirms that Siola wrote the posts herself, they tracked the IP and it was her. The prince simply notes that she technically didn't lie, since she's merely praising herself online. Rising from his seat, he gives a firm order, we need to protect Ms. Zhou's personal information first. Then his gaze sharpens as he commands, summon all the division directors. Outside the palace grounds, leaves rustle as Li Te lies casually on the grass near the stone wall, watching the sky like someone hiding from his own responsibilities. Chief Li Wuhyuk suddenly approaches on a scooter shouting, Mr. Li Te. You can't come over there. Li Te lazily asks, are you allowed to ride that within the palace? Wu Hyuk replies, I can since I'm in a hurry. You're here today too? Li Te explains, I'm persistent. This place is warm and cozy compared to where I was before. It was cold back there. Wu Hyuk adjusts his glasses sternly and scolds him that the exhibition hasn't even opened yet, but Li Te has already visited too many times. He adds that while the palace is beautiful, it's not a place the prince should wander freely without prior approval. Li Te lounges against the wall with a mischievous smile and admits the truth, the exhibition is important, but I come here because I like the place. It's hauntingly beautiful. Wu Hyuk grumbles, you're the one haunting the palace every day. Then speeds off on his scooter, vroom, reminding him to stay within permitted areas, no matter how hauntingly beautiful this place is. Left alone again, Li Te murmurs softly, yes, I'll be careful, though his sly smile suggests he absolutely will not be. Wu Hyuk mutters that the prince is kind of creepy, when suddenly someone jumps out of nowhere in front of him. Mr. Li. Li Wu Hyuk lectures, sir. You'll get hurt if you suddenly jump out like that. You scared me. An elderly curator trembles anxiously, clutching his chest as he apologizes breathlessly, sorry, I'm sorry. I had to ask you something urgent. Then he suddenly points across the courtyard in alarm, blurting out, who is that person? Who is he? Li Wu Hyuk answers, that's Li Te. He's the director of Ethel, a group of artists. But the moment he turns away, he suddenly turns back to look, curiosity clearly winning over dignity. He grumbles to himself while riding his scooter, looking utterly annoyed. What's with him, seriously? He mutters, feeling oddly ticked off. Then he pauses, thoughtful, realizing something strange about the man's behavior. Still, with a sigh, he shrugs it off. Well, that's not my business. I'm a busy man in the modern world. Inside the royal hall, the massive doors slide open as attendants greet the arriving crown prince. Greetings, your highness. He steps forward in formal attire, smiling slightly as he remarks, "It's been a while since everyone got together." The prince walks down the hall toward the throne, while officials sit respectfully on either side. Taking his seat with a relaxed posture, he declares calmly, "As you all know, I plan to welcome a fiancé. So, I will begin choosing a princess. Ms. Seo, I'll leave the rules of the first and second additions to the court. But I will direct the third and final selection." Lady Seo of the royal court answers respectfully, "Yes, as you wish, your highness." The prince casually opens a small red box, presses the seal on the document, then smiles with amused anticipation. "Well, I look forward to this. We must fund the woman with the sacred eye." Elsewhere, Zhou Yuyan checks her phone while driving. A message from Li Jian appears, Friday 7:10 p.m., 40 minutes left for you to enter the palace. She sighs and replies simply, "I'm on my way. Nothing is working out for me lately." As she drives through city traffic, frustration bubbles up. All the apartments she was looking into are suddenly taken, her face is plastered all over the media, and Mr. Choi has even put her on probation and forced her to telecommute for a week. And she has to see Choi Junil and his fiancé being all lovey-dovey on their social media. Finally she exhales and tells herself to endure a little longer, "Just bear with this. I can move soon." She tells herself she just needs to endure a little longer, until she finds a place to rent and waits for her mother to recover. Until then, I have to do what I can right now. She arrives outside the palace gates, and immediately freezes. A crowd of journalists swarms the entrance, their voices buzzing in loud chatter, cameras flashing everywhere. Her eyes widen in pure shock as she realizes exactly what she's walked into. Her mind races, the journalists are swarming this place. Before she can retreat, they spot her. The crowd rushes forward with microphones and phones shoved toward her face. "Are you Miss Zhou Yuyan, the princess candidate? A word, please." They bombard her with questions about the news and rumors spreading online. She pivots instantly and bolts. Reporters chase after her, shouting, "Ms. Zhou Yuyan, please say something," but she sprints away at full speed, breath heaving, huff, as she races up the palace steps. Guards block the reporters with a sharp shout, declaring, "Permitted personnel only from here." Yuyan slips past them in a desperate dash, while behind her the reporters complain bitterly, "Geez, what a jerk, she won't even share a single comment." She squeezes through the massive palace doors and pushes them shut behind her. For a moment she just stands there, shoulders shaking tremble, trying to steady her breathing. A calm voice breaks the silence, "I've been waiting for you." She turns slowly and sees the crown prince approaching down the palace walkway. Under the quiet night sky of the palace courtyard, the prince walks beside Zhou Yuyan and asks casually, "How have you been?" She answers honestly, "Not well, what about you, your highness?" He replies smoothly that he's been quite busy, while she glances down with a weary expression, thinking bitterly that thanks to him she's been basically confined and dragged through endless news coverage. Suddenly he leans closer, catching her off guard. With a calm but piercing voice he asks, "By the way, why do you live with Chairman Choi?" She blinks in surprise as he continues, "You're just an employee in the secretary's office, aren't you? Or is this question too personal?" After a quiet pause, she answers simply, "My mother is ill, and my father passed away." Looking up at him beneath the night sky, she explains that Mr. Choi was her father's friend and became her guardian when she was a minor, so their relationship has remained that way until now. She adds quietly that she doubts he would ever want to marry someone like her. The prince watches her closely before asking gently, "When did your father pass away?" She replies, 13 years ago. She continues, touching her temple as the memory aches, throb. We got into an accident in my first year of high school. Her voice softens as she explains her father died that day, and her mother has been unconscious in the ICU ever since. That's why she needed Mr. Choi's help. The prince falls silent. For a moment, the present seems to blur with a flickering memory, his expression hardening as the image of a younger boy flashes in his mind. Yuyin suddenly looks a little dizzy, rubbing her head as she murmurs that something feels strange, like something he said earlier stirred a half-forgotten memory. Before she can continue, he cuts her off gently. That's enough. Though she quietly admits, I feel like I almost remembered something. Below them, the scene reflects like a distorted mirror, an eerie image of the art room and paintings from years ago. Under the night sky in the palace courtyard, she excitedly stretches her arm toward the stars while standing close beside him, her enthusiasm bubbling over as she blurts out, "Why, Your Highness? Could we go up to the roof? We could go up together to watch the stars." Watching her animated excitement. Still wandering the palace grounds together, she chatters endlessly, "What should I wear? A robe? Or a gown?" Then she tilts her head with bright curiosity and adds another hopeful question, "If I become the princess, can I dress the Hete?" The night stroll continues up the palace steps where she points upward again with absolute confidence and makes another cheerful request, saying, "I want these eaves. Can you take them down for me?" Standing calmly beside her, he offers a far more strategic suggestion instead, telling her, "There's another way to own those besides taking them from here." Zhou Yuyan seems to be doing her best to lose points. Meanwhile, from the shadows behind them, a watchful court lady Xiao quietly observes the pair together. "I would chase her out of here if His Highness ordered it." Chief Li rubs his temple and sighs, "His Highness would do that if he wanted." Court lady Xiao asks, "Why did he choose with someone like her?" "I don't understand what we're doing here. She obviously has no intention of becoming the crown princess." Chief Li chuckles nervously since court lady Xiao was correct. The sheet clearly lists Zhou Yuyan minus 46 points. She's being far too obvious, and that it's not easy to score that poorly in the evaluation. His Highness expected her to behave like this, but wonders why he brought her here in the first place. Prince Jian was born into the royal family, destined to follow the path laid out before him. When the prince asks him about his dream, his simple answer has always been to serve the royal family. When he asks the prince about the prince's dream, the prince admits he's never really had a dream, maybe once when he was a baby. That is why, His Highness is acting according to a script half of the time. He knows that every move he makes can affect someone. And he knows that people will dissect and judge his every move. When Ms. Choi Siola was here, he had the entire art museum covered with the Imaya. But today, he had all of them wiped out. I wonder what he knows. Chief Li and Lady Xiao spy from the pillar. "Lady Xiao, does that lady have the sacred eyes?" Chief Li confirms His Highness seems to think so. "Lady Xiao, then we test her carefully." Lady Xiao immediately gives instruction to a court staff member. Chief Li panics, "Huh? But Lady Xiao, His Highness specifically ordered us not to." Lady Xiao protests that she belongs to the court, not the RSA. Chief Li begs, "Please don't do this. I'll have to report this." Lady Xiao shrugs and says, "Go ahead. I don't care." Then he quietly speculates that His Highness seems interested in Ms. Zhou regardless of the sacred eye, whispering a shocking theory, she might be his first love. He leans closer to whisper the final thought, if she really is the prince's first love, a test wouldn't be necessary. The reason is simple, his first love was said to possess the sacred eye. Meanwhile, the prince and Zhou Yuyan walk side by side beneath the night sky. She quietly thinks just how far she has to go. She's already shaved off enough points by acting foolishly earlier. The prince glances back over his shoulder and asks gently, "Are you tired?" She answers immediately and dramatically, pointing off toward a building. Yes, I'm exhausted. If it's all right with you, can we rest there for a bit? I just need a moment. My foot is swollen and my heel hurts. The prince tilts his head with a curious are you sure about this? Will you be all right with this? Before she can protest, he gently takes her arm and lifts her slightly, steadying her with surprising ease. He addresses her softly, Ms. Zhou Yuyan. She answers with a cautious, yes, only for him to clasp her hands lightly and ask the most unexpected question possible, aren't you hungry? She replies without thinking, just a bit. He begins leading her down a stone path and casually explains, that's the East Palace, to be exact, it's my palace. Yuyan's brain short-circuits and she blushes furiously, thinking did I just ask him to rest at his place? Oh, wait, I didn't. He smiles warmly and reassures her, don't worry. I know you didn't mean it. I'm sure you asked without knowing what place that was, right? Then he shrugs lightly and adds with playful ease, but since we're already here, let's have ramyun before we leave. He tugs her along by the hand while she stumbles behind him, completely thrown off by the sudden casualness. Panting slightly as she follows him inside, Yuyan hears him call out over here. With a relaxed smile he announces, this is where we'll eat ramyun. They sit down together, and a palace attendant respectfully bows while placing items beside them. Yuyan notices a large folded towel being set down and murmurs in confusion, isn't that a bit big for a hand towel? The prince immediately takes the towel and gently wraps it around her foot. When she tries to protest, he calmly replies no, firm but gentle. Pressing the cloth carefully around her ankle, he explains matter-of-factly, the royal palace may be luxurious, but we don't use a full towel as a handkerchief. His hands move with quiet precision as he presses and rubs the towel around her injured foot. Yuyan flinches, eyes wide and cheeks flushed, as he observes softly, your foot is really swollen. The moment hits her all at once, the prince is kneeling on the floor holding her foot. He finishes adjusting the towel and tells her gently, you'll feel better with a warm towel wrapped around it like this. Then he looks up with a calm, reassuring smile, as if tending to her like this is perfectly ordinary. Yuyan sits stiffly while the prince kneels before her, her heart pounding badum as she stares at him in stunned silence. He gazes at her calmly, completely unaware that his casual kindness has short-circuited her entire nervous system. The prince suddenly pauses and asks himself aloud, should I not have done that? When she blurts pardon, he quickly apologizes, I'm sorry for touching your foot without permission. Did that make you uncomfortable? She panics and denies it immediately, admitting she was simply surprised, because it was the first time someone else touched her foot. He admits, he was surprised too. That was his first time touching someone else's foot. He smiles softly at her reaction, clearly amused, while Yuyan hurriedly turns her head away and scolds herself internally, this isn't what I'm here for. Focus. Her heart continues pounding traitorously in her chest as her face flushes bright red. She scolds him internally. He's the sly fox of Gyeongbok Palace. An attendant bows politely nearby as the two sit side by side, quietly wiping their hands with towels. The prince calls gently, Ms. Zhou. Have you thought about moving to a new company? Yuyan blinks in confusion at the unexpected question, repeating in surprise, a new company. He turns toward her and clarifies bluntly, have you thought about becoming the crown princess? Then he explains seriously that the crown princess isn't a title taken lightly, it comes with immense responsibility, warning her she won't receive praise for her work and that the position can be deeply humiliating at times. Looking at her carefully, he asks, do you think you're a suitable person to become the princess? Yuyan answers honestly and without hesitation, no. I've never thought about it at all. The prince chuckles softly and teases, what a shame. Am I that unappealing to you? She protests, don't joke around. You know that's not what I meant. He gently brushes a strand of hair behind her ear, then meeting her eyes, he says plainly, I'm interested in you, Ms. Zhou. I'm very interested. Yuyin freezes, her cheeks flushing as his hand lingers near her face. He continues quietly, explaining, that's why I don't want to imprison you inside the palace. That would be the worst possible scenario. Even so, I want you so much. I want to have my way with you if I could. But then, you'll run away. But I can't hold back either, because I think you're the one I've been looking for. Yuyin sits frozen under his touch, eyes shimmering with conflicted emotion, while the quiet night air hangs between them. Summer, school uniforms, slightly furrowed brows, and that pretty face. She looks at him with widening eyes as those fragments swirl together. Smiling softly, the prince asks the question hanging in the air, will you remember me now? Behind them, a servant quietly notices the ramen turning soggy, while elsewhere the observing court members murmur coldly that everything from tonight will be kept confidential. Lady Xiao dismisses Yuyin outright, declaring she is not suitable to be the princess. I am disappointed in His Highness as well. For him to touch a woman's foot like that, Chief Li calms the tension, do not be so harsh, Lady Xiao. Lady Xiao cuts the conversation short, insisting there's no point testing Yuyin further and ordering that the prince be reminded to follow the palace rules. Chief Li ponders, I don't understand His Highness. If he wants to know if she is his first love, he can just investigate her. Plus, I don't get why he doesn't want to take her as his fiancée. He approaches them and apologizes politely, I apologize for the noodles. They became soggy, so another batch is being prepared. The prince simply responds calmly, is that so, while Yuyin jolts nervously at the sudden interruption. Embarrassed, Yuyin rises quickly and blurts, I can't eat ramen. You can have it instead, sir. Chief Li looks baffled as she fumbles for an excuse, I'm a very picky eater. I'm going to eat some fried chicken. The prince sighs faintly, seeing straight through the awkward escape attempt. With quiet authority he says simply, you may leave. Later, the prince lounges in a steaming bath, relaxed and silent. Chief Li reports stiffly, she left the palace. The prince waves him off lazily, you can leave too. And stop peeking at me taking a bath. Flustered but persistent, Chief Li asks, Your Highness, I thought you held a royal audition so you could find a woman with the sacred eye and marry her. But what do you mean, moving companies? And you don't want to imprison her? Unbothered, the prince replies casually, You're too loud. People can hear you. Finally losing his composure, the aide blurts out the question he's been holding in, but you're the one who said that. Is Ms. Zhou really that person? Does she not have the sacred eye? In his mind, the answer matters deeply, because the prince must marry a woman with the sacred eye for the country to remain safe. A dark memory crashes over the prince, blood splattered across the scene as a younger boy cries out Mom. Dad, in horror. To prevent what happened to him, and to make sure no one else ever experiences what he went through. Back in the present, Chief Li's desperate warning rings out again, you must marry a woman with the sacred eye. The prince suddenly splashes out of the bath, water flying everywhere as he abruptly ends the conversation. Chief Li freezes mid-step, startled as the prince turns away from him. With quiet finality, the prince dismisses him, Yours, Highness. The scene shifts to a warm royal sitting room where a man in ceremonial robes sits across from a visitor. The king peers closely and asks cautiously, So, your name is Li Te? His hands tremble slightly as the young man calmly replies, Yes, I am Li Te. The king leans forward with growing curiosity and asks, And your father's name, is it Li Song? Li Te nods politely, confirming, Yes, my father is Li Song. How did you know? The king suddenly lights up with shock and delight. Grabbing Li Te's hands excitedly, he exclaims, So you really are Li Song's son, and reveals the connection with a grin, Li Song. He's my younger brother. Li Te sits frozen for a moment, stunned by the revelation. Then a slow, incredulous smile spreads across his face as he murmurs softly, "How can this be?" The king leans forward anxiously, squeezing his fingers together as he asks again where Li Song is, confessing that he hasn't heard from his younger brother in years and assumed the grown man simply stopped sending news to the palace. Li Te hesitates, pulling nervously at his sleeve before quietly revealing the truth, "My father passed away." The words land like a hammer, leaving the king staring at him in stunned disbelief, utterly shocked by the sudden loss of the brother he thought was still out there somewhere. The king suddenly wobbles, clutching his head as an alarmed attendant lunges forward crying, "Your Majesty." The king forces himself upright, insisting through the dizziness, "I'm fine, I'm fine. I'm all right." The king apologizes with quiet dignity, "You must have been surprised too. I apologize if I was a bit out of sorts." Then he studies the young man across from him and reveals the connection that ties them together like an old family thread. "Song, your father, was my little brother. He was called Prince Wijin. If it's all right with you, could you tell me more about your father? How was my dear brother? And how did you happen to come here? I hope you can forgive me for asking this now. I know it's wrong of me." Li Te immediately reassures him, hand resting over his chest in polite sincerity. "I do not blame you, and you have done no wrong. My father passed away after being diagnosed with cancer in the US 6 years ago. He told me a lot about the palace before he passed away. His tales were the reason I started my work." "But, Your Majesty," the attendant glances toward the king as Li Te hesitates before confessing something unusual. "Actually, I have an ability that I do not fully understand. Sometimes, I detect strange smells from paintings. And I can see people with power. My father told me that I've that can recognize the sacred eye. Does the prince also have the same affliction? And what is the sacred eye?" The king and his attendant exchange a quiet glance as the king simply murmurs, a thoughtful sound that promises complicated answers. Meanwhile, somewhere far more modern, glass doors swing open. The prince and Chief Li enter as Chief Li updates. His Majesty is currently seeing Mr. Li Te, the representative from Ethel. "I'm not sure about the validity, but he seems to be related to Prince Wijin, or Li Song, who disappeared in the past." The prince listens calmly while another voice in his head remarks with mild suspicion, "No wonder he seemed fishy." Then he simply responds, cool and measured, "I see." "And what about the painting?" One of his subordinates explains, "It's at the top floor. Your Highness, though we're not sure of his location since it's passive at the moment. The Ima are hiding quite cleverly these days. It's becoming difficult for us to find their exact location." Prince Jian listens intently while wondering, "That's why we need the sacred eye to find the Ima in paintings." His thoughts are cut short when he notices Zhou Yuyan walking beside a coworker. The coworker sighs and explains, "I'm sorry. Director Choi kept insisting that he wouldn't leave without you." Yuyan assures, "It's fine. I'll go get him before the executive meeting." Suddenly they stop dead in their tracks. Prince Jian stands directly in front of them. The coworker nearly chokes in shock, whispering Prince Jian, as people crowd around the hallway. The prince calmly greets her with a simple "Hello, Ms. Zhou." Yuyan stiffens and bows slightly, replying nervously, "Hey, hello, Your Highness." As they walk side by side through the crowd, Yuyan nervously recalls everything that happened the night before. "He kept telling me to remember him, and then he offered me a new job because he doesn't want to make me become the princess? Then why is he acting so normal greeting her like this? What is he up to? I don't understand what he wants." The more her mind spirals, the more anxious she becomes. The prince studies her quietly, clearly suspicious of the man she arrived with. When he asks who the man is, Yuyan hurriedly answers he's just a random coworker. Prince Jian casually asks, So what brings you to this hotel? Yuyin replies back politely, I'm here to see the director. What about you, Your Highness? The prince answers simply, I'm here for work too. The elevator dings on the 22nd floor, and Yuyin steps out first, wishing him politely, well then, I hope your work goes well. But just as she walks away, she advises, about your work, Your Highness. It seems you should be taking care of it here on the 22nd floor. Shocked, the prince asks, why do you think that? Yuyin hesitates before explaining, I saw an advertisement about an exhibition on his floor of paintings by famous artists from Northern Europe. And there aren't any paintings on the 24th floor where you're headed. I apologize if my opinion wasn't necessary, though. Please excuse me. Then she dashes away. One of the prince's agents nods in agreement, confirming he can smell something strange nearby. Some RSA employees can detect the manwha by scent. The area bursts into motion, rumble. His eyes flare faintly with golden light as he mutters urgently, is it active now? What about Yuyin? A rush of alarms sweeps through the hallway. He saw Yuyin furiously pulled into a hotel by Choi Jinul. His anger flares, but a panicked voice confirms the worst, Your Highness, the manwha is active. Prince Jian is forced to put duty before love and strides down the corridor, footsteps echoing, while someone behind him remarks cautiously, you'd have to evacuate? Suddenly, from somewhere ahead, a violent thud reverberates, and an ominous crimson thought bursts into view, I must kill you. Inside the swirling energy of the painting, a monstrous owl-like spirit materializes with massive wings and glowing eyes, stomping forward with thunderous stomp, stomp. The prince mutters, you're trying to start a conversation too? The manwha these days, but the tension snaps when another voice shouts, we'll lure it away, as a hand raises, ready to act. Flames beginning to coil around the prince like loyal serpents. With cool irritation he mutters, I didn't think I'd live to hear a murder notice like this. Fire erupts around his hand with a dramatic blaze. The owl demon dives straight toward him with terrifying speed, but instead of retreating, the charges forward into the fiery storm. Flames streak across the scene as the creature's massive claws descend, yet the man stands firm beneath it, the burning aura around him blazing brighter with every step. With a sharp swoosh, he swings through the attack, irritation flashing across his face. His voice remains dangerously calm as he adds, and I was already in a bad mood. The clash detonates in a fiery explosion, boom, as his attack slams into the creature with devastating force. Sparks scatter through the air while the flames swirl around his fingers. He flicks his hand forward with controlled precision, the fire sizzling softly screech. Fwish as the energy dissipates. Behind him, stunned RSA stare as a shimmering blue shard-like remnant plops to the floor. One of them thinks in disbelief, he destroyed a high-level wisp that had a terror pop with his bare hands? The only response they can manage aloud is a breathless, amazing, the prince is already walking away, coat swaying with each purposeful stride. Someone rushes after him asking, where are you going? Your Highness? Are your hands all right? He doesn't even slow down, replying flatly, I don't need treatment. There's something more important than that. He stops in front of a closed door just as the same man that was with Yuyin earlier, runs up behind him asking, what happened? Crossing his arms, he gives a cold instruction, knock on this door before I break it down. His expression darkens as a final thought burns through his mind like a declaration of ownership, say that we're here for something that belongs to me. Or just open the damn door.